Boom, boom, boom. Welcome back, folks.
Welcome to your favorite podcast, Gecko podcast, on the internet, on the interwebs, on the YouTubes, the Googles.
That's what I'm talking about.
All that.
All the platforms, right? All right. Welcome back, everybody. Today we got Mr. Wally Kern on. How you doing, Wally?
I am doing great. Thank you guys for inviting me. You guys are the best. I swear, and we were just talking about this, this show could go 24 hours. You guys are so easy to talk to. I hope we can keep it under 6 or 7 hours.
Well, it depends if we talk about all 800 species of geckos you have been successfully breeding this season.
We're talking geckos, so it's going to go. So everyone, all viewers, go out and grab your cup of coffee or whatever you need to do, because this is going to be fun and entertaining.
Grab your caffeine.
Get another pop on standby.
Too.
What's that, Wally?
We might actually even learn something. We might say something that everybody will learn.
I learn something every time I talk to you. You know,
I appreciate that. I learned something from watching your videos as well, your podcasts as well.
Well, it's because I'm brilliant, you know? I'm like, no, seriously though, every time I watch something of yours, Wally, whether it's about life or about geckos, I can learn something from not just the podcast we do with you, but in general, when I watch yours, your palm streets are educational. I mean, everything you do, there's jewels throughout everything you do.
Well, thank you very much.
Awesome.
And that's what we strive for. We try to be a little entertaining, a little bit of fun, a good family show, but also try to throw in little nuggets whenever we can.
Throwing some switcheroo in there, too.
And some switcheroo. Where's my wig? Where's my flowered blouse?
Oh, man, when I saw that, I was like, what is going on today?
Where's the delete
button? You can't
button?
laugh in life, then what can you do, right?
Right.
You gotta have a sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh, man. So how's your season been so far?
You know, I think like anybody, there's some good and there's some bad. We're stock full with our incubators. I literally just brought up a hovabator up here because I have no more space downstairs. My do-it-yourself homemade incubators are full. They're stacked on top. Egg boxes, hatch boxes are stacked on top of each other. So every time I go in there, it takes me 15 minutes to look at all the eggs. So now we have a hovabator up here running to start taking additional eggs. So good in that we're getting a lot of eggs. We have some pretty cool new species. We're really going well with helmetids and mitratus and cave geckos, and now some knobtails. You know, just like everybody else, and I'm as transparent as anybody. We're struggling with some other species like Coleotics variegatus. They're just not going for me. And I hibernated them this year, brumated them, and brought them up. And other animals took off like crazy because of that, but the variegatus didn't. So I'll probably play around with them next year. But that's how it goes, right? There's always wins and there's always not losses, but you know, things that we hope to do a little bit better. And that's why it's fun.
Yeah, definitely. No, I said, for me, I think right now, like, I don't even know if I would say consider it struggling, but like my Blazer-Daclys, right now, she gave me about 5 eggs. There would have been 6, but I cracked one. But only 1 egg out of those 5 are fertile. So So I was like, okay, what's going on here? So after the season's over with, you know, maybe I'm gonna start working on doing some other different things. Like, I know they're supposed to be I know they're from Madagascar, but they're where they come from is much more hotter and drier than like what we think of Madagascar, like for leaf tails and everything like that. So maybe get a little bit of a higher wattage for their basking, maybe use different substrate.
How are you running her? Like your Abanawi? Because Abanawi's like a dry too. Abanawi's come from a dry, hot region.
Well, I got a basking. I got like a 25-watt basking bulb on them right now, but I'm thinking maybe I'll go up to see if I can find like a 35 or 40 watt and see if that works. Just to get it a little bit more hot in there, and then I don't know, maybe do some cycling, because I didn't really get a chance to cycle them like I would normally with all my other stuff, because I put damn near everything in the brumation. Like they get the cold weather. So
you said she's laying them though; they're just not fertile. right? Like
Yeah,
she's letting
yeah,
them.
yeah. And I
I don't know
mean,
if that.
I've seen her and the male kind of like squabble and fight a little bit, and I was like, all right, that's maybe that's part of the process from what the person told me. Well, they said, yeah, they do a little squabbling, like, but there's no marks, there's no damages. So I'm like, okay, they're getting along, they're fine. But so we'll see.
Maybe,
Keep me posted on that
sometimes
one.
a couple of things, number one, with the heat, as long as you're giving them a gradient, jack it up, as long as they
Hmm.
can get away from the
Yeah,
extreme heat. That's, I think that's a great option. Number two, I've had leopard geckos with females that just didn't want that male whatsoever.
yeah,
Whatever it was with that male, they would not accept it, and dud after dud after dud, and then introduce, another season, introduce a new male, tried to do the morphs like I wanted, and introduce a new male, and a receptive and fertile eggs right after that. So,
yeah,
you know,
and
we
yeah.
we
I said I'm gonna say
we kind of play
that could
like
be a
we
thing,
know these geckos, but
right? Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard. They're wild things that we're playing with here.
yeah. No, and even like my Cerdaclys, I mean, Jake told me he's like, you know what, males get lazy in like the Cerdaclys genus. So I was like, okay. So like, I didn't have great success with a Triatus this year. She gave me 4 eggs, and they all don't look great. So we'll see. But I'm getting a new male coming in, F1 male. So hopefully, just switching the male out and seeing if that one will, like you said, switch like he switched the leopard gecko male out. So I'm hoping that will happen. And then what else? I mean, my Zabrakas, they're doing pretty good. Like, I think out of the 6 eggs that she's given me, 4 have been good. So I'm waiting for the
Nice.
next two to hatch. And then the nebulosas, she only gave me 1 clutch. So, but those they both hatched out. So I was like, all right, cool, good. But I actually separated them because, like I said, the female wasn't looking great after that first clutch. She didn't look great at all. So now I have them all separated again. And my plan moving forward for next season is to have him go in there for like a week or two, have him do his thing, move him back to his tank. So she could be by herself. So I can make sure she's eating, putting that weight back on, and then because I got a second female now too, so I'm just gonna cycle that male through those two for next season and see what happens with them.
That sounds perfect. And that was the thought that I had with the banded geckos was, I have the males with the females. Maybe the females are just getting lazy, and I'll start taking the males out, introduce just like I do my leopard geckos, a routine like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Interesting.
As I said, on the other
How's
end,
yours going, Anthony? How's your season going? I
yes,
know you've posted
We
some
got
pictures.
too much to talk about you. We're not going to talk about me. I'm curious about these helmeted you've been hatching those. These are one of my dream species. Are you how easy are you? You seem to be hatching them out like it's baking cakes.
It's like anything else. It's like anything else, and you guys will admit this too. You'll say the same thing. It's like a lock, like a safe. Okay, a little bit to the left. That was too far. A little bit to the right. Okay, I got that. Now a little bit to the left, and then back to the right. Okay, I've dialed it in. I got it. So as long as you do, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're good to go.
Apparently, it's not that easy. I've spoken to quite a few people when I found starts my interest had been sparked in the species, and one thing I've got in common was incubating these species wasn't easy. It wasn't I forgot what the hell the kid said. None of the feedback I got wasn't that they were impossible, but they're definitely not a beginner. They're not a beginner
you
species.
talking about the Tarantola?
I'm curious as to why.
Yeah,
Oh,
I wouldn't say that they're easy. I wouldn't say that they're pachydactylus easy. Put them on a material medium and throw them in the incubator. I wouldn't say that. I would say though it's again, I had my struggles in the beginning. I had struggles with the babies when I first started breeding them a few years ago. So I had them, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 years ago, did okay with them, but it would be, raise one up and one would die, raise one up and one would die. And all the time, right around 8 months or so, not 8 months, I'm
Really?
sorry, about 2 months or so, I would lose a baby. Win, lose, win, lose. And this last couple of years, what I've started doing is a little trick, very, very small. I have a small incubator and I have lots of hides, but under one of the hides, I have sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss for a desert gecko, that doesn't make any sense. Well, I was having problems with probably the humidity at that time of the year in my house being a little bit too dry. So I put the sphagnum moss under one hide, and from that point on, in 2 years, I've not lost a baby. Another thing is getting the right size food for them. I'm a big mealworm person, so I feed a lot of mealworms, but that's one animal that I'll start off with mealworms. I'll have mealworms in a little dish with the calcium and everything in the water and hides and blah, blah, blah over sand. But then I'll also feed, that's one animal that I'll always also feed some crickets to because they seem to be a cricket eater and not only, I'll see the mealworms disappear, but they have to have, for whatever reason, those crickets as well. Little things, a couple numbers to the right, a couple numbers to the left.
Yeah.
Nice.
UV lighting. Maybe I was losing them because I wasn't using UV in the years and years ago, and now I'm using UV, and maybe that helps the development of the egg a little bit.
How
And
many seasons has it been altogether? Not to cut you off, but how many
No.
seasons altogether have you worked with the helmeted species?
Probably about 5 or 6, but going back, about 10 years ago ish, it was 2 or 3, and then now about 3 or so. Yep. Lots of mistakes before, lots of research, lots of.
But you took that knowledge with you, though, is what I'm saying. So you may have had a little time off, but you came back into it knowing
with a better
what
understanding.
you knew before.
Yeah.
People should listen to this podcast because there is no other person in the reptile community that has made more mistakes than me that can share that knowledge and information with people and say, don't flip and do what I just did. So yes, probably about 8-10 years ago, I made a lot of mistakes, and I walked into it this time with, okay, I need to really fix this problem. And now I need to start refining the way I'm keeping, but I need to network. I need to get more information. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that are keeping them right now.
Just going to say a lot of stuff. You got to have a problem because you don't have many people that you can just kick ideas around with. You don't have many people. I mean, I'm assuming, just knowing some of the species you work with, you don't have the access to breeders that I do working with New Caledonia stuff. Your peer circle, your peer source to information is a lot smaller than mine is. So that's got to be.
What you can. You collect what you can. You put it together. You roll it around a little bit, and you go, that doesn't really make sense. I've been doing that. I've tried that. Okay, out of those 10 pieces of information, I'm going to focus on the 2 that I haven't really tried yet. And then maybe those 2 pieces of information help you a little bit, but maybe you take that information, you go, you know what? I'm having problems flipping with this shed. I'm having problems in about a month or 2. They start shedding and they're not, I see the shed on them, and you shouldn't see that. How can I fix that? Well, here's a clump of wet sphagnum moss I'll throw in the corner, and I've not had a problem since. So it might be the UV, it might be the sphagnum. If I had a bigger collection, I'd try both.
Do you find them similar to the scorpion tails? Do you think that incubating and hatching them is similar at all, or no?
I've not had an issue with scorpion tails, but maybe I've gotten over that. They are, Anthony. They're very similar.
No, the person I was talking to told me they were similar, so I was like, well,
one of the biggest similarities is they have to have UV lighting. They have to have hot. So we just talked, Jason. We were talking about the heat and everything and cranking it up. I have my scorpion tails, probably the heat source, right? If you checked right under the light, I would have to say it's like 120 degrees. Now, are they sitting under there the whole time? No, they're sitting off to the side a little bit. What's the temperature over there? Maybe about 90, 95, 100. Do I see them 100% of the time there? No, they're moving around. They're also, I have the UV a little bit off, so they're sitting under the UV quite a bit too. So I've said this to you guys before, and I think that you guys agree. We throw out that word enrichment with our animals, and it's super cool to throw skulls and bouncy toys in the tanks and give them don't do that, folks. I'm just kidding. enrichment's important. Don't get me wrong, but a word that's way more important right now, I feel, is gradients. Give them a bigger enclosure. Make sure, how hot should it be for scorpions? 95 or 98? Oh my gosh, I have 94. Oh my gosh, what? Give them 100. Give them 100 as long as they can get away from that 100 when they want to, and go to 98% of the other part of the tank that's not 100. Give them 100 and let them decide.
I love that, Wally. I really do love that you're saying that because I think people underestimate. I don't want to say everybody, but there's a huge misconception when it comes to gradients, right? Like these animals thermoregulate, right? Like they need this temperature. So you don't have to, your hotspot doesn't necessarily have to be any one temperature because they're not staying in it all day. Your ambient needs to be, I guess, within a range. But if there was an area that's 10 degrees hotter than what everybody else tells you to, they'll know. They'll know. They just need to be able to get in and out. They're going to spend less time there. When these animals are in the Galapagos, chilling on a stone, on one day, that same stone that's in their realm may be 130 degrees baking in the sun. Another, it may be 110. They're going to the same stone. They're just spending different amount of time there based on the temperature of the thermal mass in which they're on. It's gradient is not as important as temperature, I guess, right? Because the temperature is just a number, right? The gradient is. You can have super hot and super cool. They're going to find their medium, they're going to find what they need.
As long as they can choose, as long as they can go to a place that's within the norm of what our keeping standards say. And I've got to go back. This isn't and maybe I've diluted this story a little bit, but I've got to go all the way back to about 25 years ago. And a good friend, Harold Chapman. Harold Chapman, I hope you're listening because my gosh, the wisdom that you bestowed on me. We were talking about UV lighting back then. UV lighting 25 years ago, you're talking about? And he was saying that he's got his setup with the day geckos and UV lighting running 2 hours a day. And he's doing this. It was like, wait a minute. I don't understand. Why 2 hours? Everybody else in the industry is saying 8 hours, 12 hours. Why are you running it? You're not giving your animals enough UV, Harold. He goes, Wally, look at a tree and where are the animals? They're in the shade, they're in the sun, sometimes they're, back and forth. Do you not think that day geckos come out to the sun to absorb the heat, to absorb the UV, get warm, and then go back to the shady side of the tree? So providing that 2 hours gives them that opportunity to come out and bask and absorb and then run right back to their shade, their comfort zone, their shady part of the tree, and not have that access to UV. So that story, stuck to me so hard. It was just so contrary to what the hobby was doing.
Sure.
But he was willing to go, okay, this makes sense to me and I'm going to do it this way. And he had huge success, obviously. That story stuck with me so hard that give them a choice, give them lots and let them choose instead of us trying to think of this is, okay, where's my book? Where's my book? And page 48. And it says, the hobby says right here, 95 degrees right there. It says, I went on a Facebook group and everybody said 95 degrees.
Yeah. Let's not mistake though, because I know some people are new that watch this. Guys, yes. We're not saying go and have it, 200 degrees. You need to be within a realm, but when you're talking about a gradient is literally a descent or increase in numbers. You need that range, right? So don't think you have to have something that's 200 degrees. The higher your hot end is, the higher your gradient is altogether. So there is a range in which you need to stay, but just do some research and look for something a little more detailed and in depth.
And the best way to go about that is, look on your weather app. Look at the weather app. That will let you know where your top end and your low end should be. And then after that, you can figure out how to make your gradients for that. Like, so remember last time we were talking about, I think it was called like a reed stack. Do you know what that is, Wally? Okay. So I think it's called reed stack, but essentially
is it just a stack of reeds. Like you're going to use reeds in no, it's not it.
So you using like those slates or cement or whatever blocks. and you're using those and you're stacking up, and they can pick the gradient where they want to be at. So they could be all the way on the top where like that heat is blasting that rock, so it's ultra hot, right? But then there's an area right below it that's catching some of that heat right there, and then so on and so forth, so they can kind of pick where they want to be. And like you said, and I think it's called a reset. It was
trying to
some
look it
a
up right
monitor.
now.
Yeah, a monitor guy. I remember he was talking about this beforehand. But no, and it's just like you said, go into your weather
Yeah,
app.
you're right. It says there are two primary meanings for reed stack in relation to reptiles. The rate, the rates, or reets, RETES
Okay,
stack,
Reese.
reed stack, is a type of layering, basking, and hiding area, and a potential misspelling of product from the company Reed's Reptiles.
Okay.
Reeds stacks developed by breeder Frank Rate. A reed stack is an internal enclosure feature typically made of layered tiles or flat pieces of a heat conductive material like slate. Function: it creates a multi layer structure with layering spaces and gaps. The design allows reptiles to choose their preferred basking temperature and feel secure while hiding between the layers. Yeah, that's cool. We could link this in the thing, Jay. I'll send you this. We'll put this in
Okay, cool.
the
Yeah, show
notes so
notes.
people can read this because
Yeah,
this is cool. It's a whole breakdown on Google about this REITs stack, and it's the
yeah,
guy's name. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So
Perfect.
yeah,
The
like you
concept.
said, yeah, and it
Go
said
ahead. I'm
that
sorry.
you figure out what your temp ranges are. You can use that stack, or you can like play on that stuff. Like, have quirk, whatever you want to do. Just give them options to where they can get, if they want to get blasted with the heat, they can get blasted with the heat. If they want to go down to the cool end, they have a nice shaded area where they want to go. That's nice and cool. Like, you spray it with sphagnum moss or whatever you want to do, put it in there to get them extra cool. So no, it's just
Gradient's
figuring that
only
stuff
good
out.
if the animal can get to it, guys. You can
Yeah.
have your cage, however hot at the top and cool at the bottom, but if the animal cannot get to these ranges, your point is mute. So you need to be able to give these animals, whether they're arboreal, terrestrial, however, they need to be able to get from this hot to cold area. Just
Another
simply having a hot
important thing
side and
with
a cold
that.
side won't work.
Yep. And Anthony, thank you very much for clarifying that. And I tend to talk in 25
Me
years of
too, trust me, but I
experience
know how
and
people
forget the
hear
basics.
sometimes.
So yeah, we don't want to go overboard and throw 200 degrees at them. Let's stay within. Here in Wisconsin right now, it's 70 ish, but a week ago it was 96. So kind of if I'm somebody thinking about that, I'm going to give them 95 and I'm going to give them 70 degrees and let them choose what they like best. But also, and here's so important. This is so important, folks. If you get nothing else out of this whole show, here's one fact that you really need to listen to. Give them gradients, but watch them. Watch them. And if they're always sitting at top, every 24/7, they're sitting in the same spot, then something's maybe not correct.
Something's
If you
wrong.
never see them in that spot and all of a sudden you do see them in that spot, something's probably wrong. It might be some bullying if they're never in that spot and you kind of think they should be coming up here and doing the self-regulating and you never see them in that spot, or you have seen them and then all of a sudden they disappear and you don't see them again. Something's probably not right. Look at your animals. Go in the enclosure, make sure they're all okay, and kind of talk to people and say, "Here's my setup. What could be the problem?" You might have two males in the tank, and the one is staying up in the top left corner
Won't
all
be
the
the
time
first
because
time.
the dominant male has the "this is my house" best corner in the whole tank and won't let the other one close to
Hey,
him.
both you guys, I got a question for both you guys. Now we're talking about gradients as far as temperature. What do you guys give your animals? How are you giving your animals a gradient for UVB exposure? What are you doing or are you offering a gradient for your UV exposure, or are you giving them just an all out basking spot? How do you guys run your gradient, or if you how do you run your lighting?
So I have my UVs always in the front. Like, so my Stropharis, I have it in a 12 by 12 by 18, right? So the front part, that's where the UV is. The back part is where the heat is. So they can figure out what the difference is, and then I got different sticks going, so it's different levels. Like with the like I said, my stroke
So again,
fairs.
they're gradient by climbing closer and
Yes,
farther away.
yeah, yeah. So they can pick and choose how far they want to be right up there, or they want to be in the middle. They want to be a little bit close. However they want. That's generally how I do it for them. For the chewies, same thing. There's different. I have different corks in there, so it's different levels of if they want to get up close or they don't want to get up close. And I mean, wintertime when my UVB's on, they generally just grip the UV on the just to get that warmth. Because like I said, I put everybody gets the cool down no matter what. So
So you pull your heat off your chihuahuas too in the wintertime.
yeah, 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 because they got to go through that cool down period as well. Uh, I was, yeah, yeah. What was it? I was just listening. Oh, I was listening to Lizard Brain Radio with Joe Hupp. And no, and they're talking about no, they were talking about some new cow stuff in there. They're like, yeah, during the cold season, it gets as low as 50 degrees. You know, 40, 45, 50 degrees. So they're experiencing that in the wild. So why not do that with them here? Just, I mean, it cools it down, it shuts them down. They're not eating as much. They're getting prepared for spring to go ahead and breed. Because if you're constantly having them doing that, I feel like they don't have time to recover. So that's like the recovery time in my eyes.
Perfect. For my 20 pairs of period or a picta, which are about this big, I have 4 foot by
You got
4 foot
so many. I
by
can only
by
wait to
two
hear
foot
this.
enclosures. So I allow them to. No, I don't. If we all had the big enclosures, it would be so easy. But sometimes, you know,
Easier.
my helmetids and my scorpions, to go back, Anthony, to that point, Jason, I do exactly the same. I give them, the front of the enclosure has the UV and the back of the enclosure has the heat. And I have mounds. I hope you guys can see this. I have little mounds so that they can get on a mound to get UV, but still get some heat, and then go over and get more heat on this mound, but still get a little bit of UV. I just tried to, break that apart a little bit with UV on one side and heat on the other when I have to, put heat on them.
I think it. I
Good
mean,
question.
personally, depends obviously on the species. Again, whether we're dealing with arboreal, terrestrial, desert, jungle. There's so many factors for our viewers out there. There's again, I'm personally, I'm always going to be one to tell you to research, 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 and research, and never listen to any one person. And then ultimately take your animal, your collection, and your setup into consideration, and come up with the best, most educated, calculated concoction you can come up with to recreate all of the information you like. Again, it varies for everyone. Everyone's setup is a little bit different. Everyone's region is a little bit different. We all do things the same, but a little different. Just find your way.
Right on.
Right. So I know we did get at least one question. It was on the past podcast. He was late, but I was like, oh well, we're gonna have to do another Q&A. And then they were asking about how we do our setups. So I know Wally, you got a few pictures on there. I looked at some of them. They have some setups on there. So we'll
I
get
got
to
some
those.
questions for Wally too. So they came off
Yeah.
the dome. So whenever you're done with questions, let me know because I got a few questions about some things that already popped up that I would love to ask.
Jason, do you mean setups for babies?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I love talking about that. Yeah, right in my
It's
wheelhouse.
important.
And with those pictures that I sent you, if you don't mind, we can walk through the whole process from,
yes, sir.
uh, the parents to finding eggs to what do I do with these eggs to
You
now
mean you
what do
didn't
I
put
do with
together
these
a
babies?
PowerPoint presentation for us, Wally?
This is yeah, everybody go to sleep now because this is a PowerPoint presentation. I hate PowerPoint presentations, but this will work because I think that this will be organized in a way that will kind of
What
understand a
this is
little
this
bit.
is the bug room, baby room.
This is my bug room. So this used to be my wife's daycare bathroom, and I
So
stole it from her.
selfish.
What's that?
Man,
I said you're so selfish.
I am selfish. Doggone right. It's about time the whole world learned that. So to the left are roaches, and to the right are some isopods. I think I kept isopods in there. This is an old picture, but we have our grow out mealworms in there. We have fire brats. We have all kinds of feeders. So the key point to this picture is make sure you're to ultimately we want good, healthy, like you were asking before about the helmeted babies. Ultimately, we want healthy babies that will grow up to be adults. And the very first step to that whole process is feeding our animals the right way. We talked about lighting, we talked about gradients and this and that, but I'm a big believer in a healthy gecko is a result of good feeders, good gut loaded, healthy feeders. So we raise up a lot of our feeders. We still go out and buy feeders. They come in, we let them sit and gut load for 2 or 3 days, and then we'll feed them to our geckos. So that's the whole purpose of this
Are
picture.
you selling? Do you sell feeders on Supreme, or are these strictly for you in house?
Strictly for us in house. I don't make enough mealworms. I'll take it back. We do sell feeders. We sell
So
peanut
fire brats,
beetles.
right?
We sell fire brats. Thanks, Jason. And a lot of times before a show, somebody will message me and say, "Hey, big roaches, any?" And I'll say, because all of my animals are, less than the size of an adult dubia roach. I'll say, yeah, I've got a bunch that I couldn't feed off, and now they're super big, and my geckos can't eat them anymore. I'll bring you a couple hundred. So
Nice.
we'll give out the adult roaches, but we do sell the fire brats. Oh my gosh, yes,
How
and
many
peanut
species of
beetles.
roaches do you work with?
I just work with one.
Just the dubias?
I'll tell you a quick
Okay.
story. I
Okay.
worked
So you're
with
probably
the.
making a lot. You're making a good amount though. If
We're
you're feeding them
making.
small, you got to keep pumping out babies, huh?
Yeah, we're running 8 bins, smaller bins, probably
That's an
about
art in
30
itself. That's an art.
34
That's a
bins.
talent.
It's work, and I learned this when I was doing tropical fish, that probably half of my time is spent with the live foods, preparing them for the geckos. So do we bring in food? We absolutely do, and we outsource from 2 or 3 different sources. So start with good feeder
You guys
foods.
keep on talking.
Okay, start with good
Keep on,
feeder
yeah,
foods, and
keep on talking. Go
whenever
ahead.
you're ready, Jason,
Sorry.
for
Let's
that
go up
next
to the
picture, go ahead
pictures.
and show that. And I know, Anthony, you've had some
Okay.
people on your show, and Jason, this one as well, about feeder foods, and I suggest everybody go back and watch those, because feeder foods are such an important thing
Sure.
to give your animals.
Do you have any species that are so small? Well, I guess my question would be: do you breed isopods for feeders? Do you have any isopods you specifically breed in house for your feeders, or are they just things that you'll feed because you have a surplus of?
I found the feeder response for our geckos is not strong with regular isopods. It's great with dwarf whites, but trying to harvest dwarf whites, even with like a potato, and then you scrape the potato to get dwarf whites, it just takes so long. However, and I think that this kind of refers to what you're asking. We raise a lot of springtails. So I have a lot of animals. We'll see some, later in the pictures, where they can't take baby fruit flies. They can't take the either melanogaskers or the hydra. They have to take springtails.
It's an interesting first
Springtails.
picture.
This
How
is
you
a yeah.
doing?
We just
Nice to
went
meet
from
you.
PG to R. So watch, like we were saying before. Watch your animals. Make sure that you have pairs. Make sure that they're fed the right way. Make sure that your setups are set up the right way for them to have areas for breeding, and just watch them. I mean, not
Safe to
like
say this is not two males, correct?
it is safe to say that this is not 2 males.
So
I'm not confused.
what the heck are you feeding springtails to?
We're going to see them in just a minute, but Tropiocalatus, oh my gosh, Periodora andoriensis, a very, very, so these babies
Small? Wow,
can fit on a penny, the size of a penny.
that's
The babies.
crazy. I
You're
almost
gonna
like, oh, wow.
We'll get there. We're going to get there.
Buy
You're going to
something
go,
that
holy
small.
cow, that's small.
That's awesome.
I could feed springtails to these baby nebulosas because they're only like that big.
Exactly, exactly. So, those though probably can take fruit flies. So we do a lot of viper geckos here. Um, and I can start them off on fruit flies. My feeling is feed the biggest feeder food that you possibly can to your animals, as long as they're eating it. So we try to get them to the next level as quickly as we possibly can.
What
Unfortunately,
is
we have
this
some.
picture?
What's that?
What is this picture?
This is a female laying. Again, this is an old picture, but this is a female
Laying.
laying in a hide
I see
box.
the egg down there. I'm like, Ted, there's no way in hell that's a hatchling that came out of that split egg. Like, I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
This is a
Wow.
progression. This is a progression working toward babies. So I
That's
tried
a
to build up the
beautiful,
anticipation.
beautiful gecko, Wally.
Thank you
She's
very much.
beautiful.
Again, this is probably 20 to 25 years ago.
Oh,
Make sure you have places for them to lay their eggs. We can flip through the next couple of pictures pretty quick.
Okay.
Part of that is having the right areas, like if they're a sand laying animal, make sure that you have places in the sand for them to lay. If they lay in more of a damp, if you have that hide, make sure you have somewhere that they can lay it and something that they can feel a little secluded. Now, here I say secluded, and I'm giving them a transparent hide box. So it just, the thing with this is that it helps me. I can look at this box, I can tip it, from
sure.
I can look underneath at the bottom and see if there's eggs or if they've laid it on top. I can see the eggs. So about once every couple of weeks, I'll go in and I'll dig through the medium, but usually I can tell that they have eggs just by looking in the box.
I got a question real quick about feeding hatchlings and hatchlings that species that typically live on different substrates. If you were hatching out a desert species that you would normally keep on sand, when would you start to put that hatchling or baby on sand, and when would you feel comfortable feeding them on that sand, or do you not worry about impaction at all with these species?
This is an absolutely amazing, great question. I have found that I can put animals on sand immediately and feed them on sand immediately. I don't think I've ever lost an animal because it
Awesome.
ingested sand and had a problem that way. Do I do leopard geckos that way? I don't do leopard geckos that way. I don't do Periodora. I wouldn't have a problem doing Periodora, but we do so many Periodora picta that it's easier for me to put down paper towel and clean every week, that way than sifting in or replacing the sand. So, to your point, I never worry about small animals ingesting sand. They're eating right away. And we'll see it later, a really, really good picture, but I provide them dishes that they can go to eat as well.
I think it's one of those things. I don't want to encourage people to not be cautious of things, but
Yeah,
I think it's one of those things that people dwell on way too much and waste too much energy on. Like an animal's not gonna. I mean, these things in the wild, and again, no, they're not in the wild, but they have evolved over millions of years to live in specific environments. They're not going to just one day wake up, boom, eat some sand when they're doom geckos and die. Like it doesn't work like that. This is cool.
I'm going to stop for just a second and say I 100% agree with you. And if I ever see somebody saying, "Oh, it ingested and it impaction, and that's why my animal died," um, I'll say, "I'd like to know the care that you're giving, the enclosure that you've
Yeah,
given this
something else is
animal.
off.
Do they
Yeah.
have a source for calcium? You know, there's a reason if you've had an animal pass because you're keeping it over sand. I'm not going to guarantee, but I'll say 99 out of 100 times it's probably because of something else, like your humidity levels aren't correct. You don't have a good calcium source, so they're licking the sand
Yeah,
to
animal's not
get those
hydrated.
minerals.
Something's off. Something's off.
Something's off. This is, oh my gosh, what is this? I should know this. This is Goniasaurus
With
Karahawe.
the K, what is it?
Yeah, Karahawe. So
Are they
my
born
point
orange?
here is
They look just like the Japanese, man. These things are badass. These are the ones I was showing you on Josh's Frog that time. I want them so bad.
the point of this slide is that sometimes you don't need to do a doggone thing to take those eggs and incubate and let me. I know better than mom and dad. Sometimes you just mess up and you don't collect the eggs, and mom and dad go, "We got this."
I hear a lot of people doing with the caves in general, though, Wally. A lot
Oh,
of guys I
Yeah.
know
exactly.
with these cave species just let them hatch right in the enclosure with great
I
success.
think when you had Phil Trimper on and you were talking about it, he said he lets him hatch in his enclosure.
Oh, really? See? Well, you ain't going to get much better, more, I mean,
Right on.
I don't need to hear
And
anything else after that. Yeah.
I know this. I know this. Do I leave the eggs with the parents? No, because I want to control and I
Yeah,
want
well, for
to
your, yeah, you have a system.
manage.
Yeah. You did
So
there,
just to
though. Did you, was
what's
that
that?
just a one time thing? You left them in that enclosure. Any reason why you didn't pull them out of there? Or why you let
I
those eggs hatch?
That was
Just an
probably about
experiment?
15 or 20 years ago, and yeah, it was an experiment. Yeah, it wasn't because I forgot them.
Well, that's
No, that wasn't
awesome.
it at
That's
all.
cool. I'm trying now. I got my chihuahuas and I left them. They got a couple clutches of eggs. I just left them in there. I got them these big old 40-inch giant glass planted enclosures. One of my pairs of chihuahua. There's clutches of eggs in there. I'm just letting them. I want to see what happens.
So, as an experiment, I did that with period or a picta once. And oh my gosh, I left the eggs in and I just happened to watch a baby hatch out. It was so cool and it was cute. And mom came over
Don't say and
and
then ate it.
she did the licking like a cow would lick its baby calf. And oh, this is, I've got it. Where's my camera? I wish I had my, and boom, it was gone. The baby was gone.
Like gone, like eaten gone, or ran away.
Like eaten, gone.
Dad came and
Gone.
ate it.
It's like, oh, this is so, oh my God.
Oh
Like
man,
Jurassic Park when they're lowering the goat down into the thing. He's so cute.
That's so cute.
Is this
man,
all one species of egg in that tray? Is that all one
That's,
species?
yeah, that's those are crusted eggs. And
Wow. You're doing
we're
big
going to
things.
talk a little bit about hatching mediums here coming up in just a second, but I
Please
wanted to bring
do.
this out. What's that?
I said, please do. This is a,
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
popular conversation.
This is, I've tried, I think they're called Sims. I think they're called a lot of different non
Suspended incubation.
suspended incubation. Um, I don't like them. I've never done well with them. I don't know what it is because
All
the
mine are
humidity
empty.
level
I don't
should
do
just
well with
be
them
the,
either. Mine
who
are all, I
doesn't?
took everything out of them.
Yeah, I've tried them. Again, if you want to hear a lot of horror stories, failures, listen to me because I've tried this stuff and it for me it didn't work. And I'll preface everything from this point on by something that I should have said right in the beginning that you kind of alluded to, Anthony. This is my conditions. This is my environment. This is my management style of eggs and care and stuff like that. This is what has worked and hasn't worked for me,
Sure.
and your results may vary.
yeah. I mean, I do suspended for my stropheris, and I mean, it's working because these things are hatching like crazy. Uh, like I said, and then for like some of my other species, I do kind of like that Europlatus way, where it's like you get like the dry medium, put it in there, put the egg on there, and then put it inside the wet medium. Um, Especially for like for my more hard shell, like the Cerdodactylus, the Haemophilus, and
I
even the
think that's where they're the
Blazdactylus.
best. Exactly that, Jay. Like those suspended ones are great for those type of eggs.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like
yeah.
the ones instead of putting on a dry medium in wet medium, you're really doing the same thing by it floating. It's not. I think I'm going to try some Ebanawi eggs that way too.
And a lot of it could do with, and you've done the dialing in. You've got it working for you. Don't flip and change because I said something or somebody else says something. Make it work for you. It might be the way that you manage your eggs. I'm impatient. I'm looking at my eggs like almost daily. I'm retired now, so I go
Okay.
down and it's almost by hour. Okay, is it done yet? Is it done yet? So I'm looking at the eggs and I'm pulling tops and I'm checking them constantly. At least once a day, I'm looking at eggs and making sure. And so maybe that
I
You're
got
probably at
for
that time of
the
the
sim.
season where you definitely have something hatching every day.
Yep.
I
So
got
there's
yeah. I Google calendar everything for me, so I don't do that.
I'm too impatient. So
Same
there's
here.
really three different ways, now that we're past the sim thing, there's really three different ways. It's this koi fiber, peat moss, whatever you want to do, dirt, as long as you dial it in and you get it working for you, the right moisture content, because it does vary per gecko, I feel. Um, There's this. There's also the dry medium that you wet down, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But I like this for many of our geckos, and you just need to know. And if you don't know, ask somebody, and they'll tell you that's worked with Coleonyx brevis. This is Coleonyx brevis, and I really like these little containers. And you can put
Beautiful.
2 eggs. You can put 1 egg in each one. And again, I'm going in every day and I'm opening and airflow and blah blah blah. You can put holes in the tops. I don't do that. I like opening. Um, but that's one way, and we'll talk about some other ways in just a minute. Let me know if you have any questions about this kind of a setup. You can do it like this. You can put it in, deli cups. Because we get so many eggs, I like these smaller containers, especially for a Coleonyx brevis. These eggs are pinky size, pinky nail size. So they're
Really?
not. They're maybe a quarter the
Wow,
size
Wally,
of.
Jesus.
This is this was a couple of years ago, and we were hatching out a lot of crested geckos. So the key point here is this is a tackle box, bead box. We use this a lot.
That's
We
what I
use
use
these
too,
for
yeah.
Periodora picta. We use these for gargoyles, for cresteds. We load them up. What we'll do is we'll take a bag of this medium, we'll throw it into another container, we'll douse it with water, fill it up with water, let it sit for a couple of minutes, and we'll drain all the water off. And then we'll take, a spoon and fill up every one of these containers so that they're just damp. They're not wet. They're just damp. And you can see, at the top, you get a better indication of that. Now, the good thing about this is that, I can manage a whole group of eggs at one time. The bad thing is when you open it up and everybody scatters, it's like, what number were, what, from what parents? Oh my God, what do I do now? And, I can tell because the reds and the pinstripes, they're just different animals. So I know, the parents, so I can identify that way. But, there's pros and cons to this method.
Yeah, mine like to knock everything over. Like I was like, oh my god! Like when like my Zabricus and my Nebulosus, when they actually hatched out, next you know, when I opened the thing up, all my eggs were just knocked all over everywhere. I'm like, I hope these things still live. I don't know how
Yes.
long they've been knocked over, but you know. So with this, let me ask you. Do you have to do you rehydrate this every now and then, or does it stay pretty solid throughout the breeding season?
I have a secret weapon. So my problem is that I have these big fat hands and I have my bottle of water. And when I go to water, I always hit my elbow on something and then I dump, like, it's just like dump the whole water bottle out in one compartment. And that one compartment is now filled with water. So again, failure, fix it, and move on. So I get these diffuser bottles. Shameless plug, a lot of the stuff is on my store. And it's on my
Awesome.
store because this is stuff that I'm using that other breeders could and should be using. But anyways, I can take
What's your store? What's your website? Do you have a website, or can people find it right on your Instagram page? How can people find your store? Just
Palm
for
Street
out of
and
curiosity.
Supreme Gecko, and also Buy Me a Coffee now has all of these tools as well.
We'll have all that
So
posted in the show notes and descriptions too, guys. Check them out. Great deals, great products.
thank you very, very much. So we take a hatch box. We don't turn it like that. Sorry about that. So we take a hatch box and we take the top off, and oh my gosh, it's turning light. It's drying out. So I don't want to water. I don't want to water on the eggs. That's bad. Getting those eggs wet. There we go. Getting those eggs wet. I should have had material and eggs in here, but getting the eggs wet is bad. Don't do that. You want to, at the side, see how close I am to the side there? So on the side, I add water to the side. Can you see me squeezing? You probably
Never
can't,
on
Yeah.
but
the egg, just around the egg.
so
Where can people find those little egg boxes like that?
everything's on our website,
On your website
supremegecko.com.
too. Damn, people, it's looking like you only got one stop to make tonight after you finish watching this podcast. Over to
Yep,
Supreme
one stop
Geckos and go
shop.
check out some of these cool incubation products Wally has available for you.
I think this is so key because, again, I did it a couple of years of just trying to water the edges in these diffuser bottles. And
Sure.
we now have them in pink. So
All
thank you,
you
Nanette, for
ladies
doing
out
that.
there.
So
I guess to
getting
some
just
boys.
that corner, and that's a tricky part too, is knowing how much. And you just don't worry about it. You're going to play around and you're going to do the best job that you can. And if you do it wrong, you'll do it right the next time.
Depending on what type of medium you use, there is factors, guys. So, you know,
Yes. And I think I have pictures on some of the medium in just a second here. But here's one of our tackle bead boxes. And you can see that I'm writing, this is a period or a stumpfi. And I'm just writing part of the name and I put the date so that I know what the animal is inside. Now we've gone away from this because I got tired of scrubbing with a paper towel. So what we do now is we take cheap painter's tape. Yeah, why didn't you tell me, Jason, before I was doing it with the Chinese wax pencil? So we take
Best friend right
the
here.
oh my gosh, number one tool in our facility. So we take the painter's tape and we write the name and the date and we throw it right on the top so that when they hatch out, we can take that tape and put it right on their grow out container.
makes sense. I still do it
Yeah,
like this. I still use the erasable marker.
I know. The
But on
painter's
those
tape,
bins, when they hatch out, then I put my tape on. And when I use these little bins, once they hatch, I'll put them in those bins. Then I start using the tape. And from there on, I go with the tape. But I should just do it right off the damn egg. I guess I just have so many in there that I wouldn't fit all the tape, or I worry about fitting all the tape.
yes.
Ooh, look at this.
Jason, I'm going to ask you, did you have a picture of all the different hatching materials? If you don't, that's okay. Maybe I didn't send it to you.
I'm just going in order how they are right
Okay,
now, so I'm not
we
sure.
might see it later. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Um, and if we do later, I'll talk about the different hatching materials I've tried. So here we have a different way that we set up. This is more for the harder eggs. These are probably period or a picta, and this is called the bottle cap method. I don't know if I coined that myself or I'm coining it
Oh,
right now. This is the
here
bottle
we
cap
go.
method. So the bottom medium is vermiculite. It doesn't matter what that is. It doesn't matter at all as long as it's going to hold water. Um, in the bottle cap, and this is so important, has to be a porous material that's not going to absorb the humidity in the box. Because I used to use sand, and that was bad because once in a while I would have a container that would absorb the sand and get the eggs wetter, and it would just cancel out the eggs. So it's important. We saw in the crested gecko container that material. I use the same material, the high fired clay material, in these bottle caps. I lay the eggs just right on top of the bottle caps.
What species is it? One clutch of eggs, 5 eggs in one shot, or is that just really?
These are period or picta,
They
and
laid that many in one time? 5 eggs in
right
one.
now, right now, I have, I want to say, 9 tackle boxes full of period or picta eggs.
So every
That's just
gecko does not lay 2 eggs per clutch. Then
No,
I think that's a huge misconception. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and somebody had said, and it wasn't us. Someone had said that one of the things that makes a gecko is 2 eggs per clutch or something. And I was wondering, I was like, is that true? I thought there was some knobtails or something. In my head, I'm saying I thought there was some species that laid like a couple eggs, like more than 2 eggs.
so
And I,
two
I didn't
points.
know the answer, so I stopped like talking to myself. But apparently, okay.
Well, a
See, I
couple of
learn
things
something
here.
every time, man. I'm dead
Number
serious. Every
one,
time I learn something.
some geckos don't. Scorpion tails, as a matter of fact, will lay an egg, every few weeks, but only one egg. So you'll just find the one. Second point that I want to bring out here is you're probably looking at the second, on the first row, second bottle cap down, and then you look at the second bottle cap down on the second row as one egg. You see some 3 eggs,
Yeah,
you see a
yeah.
5 egg. That seems to indicate that these animals are laying, not 2 eggs at a time. I collect the eggs pretty frequently. Every other day I'm collecting eggs. So I might
damn.
collect one egg instead of the second one. So next time I go in, I'm going to collect the second one. Another fact is that, Periodora picta, typically you can see on the blue one at the bottom, that top egg. probably is bad. So I go in there frequently and I pull the bad eggs. Not to say that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 bad eggs that I pulled from here, but another fact out of this is that I might have had a baby hatch out of one of these slots, and I've put the first baby away, and I'm just waiting, another day or so for the second baby to hatch.
These things are reproducing like crazy. I don't know another gecko in the world that reproduces like this.
That's why I have not paired my pictus at all.
They
I'm
must
so
be
scared.
heavily predated in the wild. Something must be eaten. They must be like a big food source or something. Because why would nature produce that many if they weren't getting knocked off?
Yeah,
And they produce
Or
early, right?
huge
Like,
environment to fill or something.
Yeah,
Something is. There's a reason Mother Nature is making them work like this.
I talked to a couple today that just bought a picnic. We met them actually about an hour away. We were going to our granddaughter's birthday. 3-year-old, help me here and tell me I
Congratulations,
have
Wally.
energy after a
God bless,
3-year-old.
man. God bless.
So we met them, and I said, I think we gave them a 4 or 5 month old, and she said, "Is it? Can it breed? At what time can I wait for it to breed?" I said, "Well, probably not until next year, March, April, because that would give it a whole year." And she said, "Oh, really? They can breed that early?" I said, "Well, I start looking at about a month, month and a half for males. A month and a half. By 2 months of age, I can fairly be predicting all the males that are hatching out of a group because I keep a group together. Like if I have, you know, from the same parents, I have a group and I'll keep them in a 6 quart and I'll let them grow up to be about 2 to 3 months old. And then I start separating them. But I'll pull the males out as soon as I see a male because I don't want a male breeding with a female. I've had females at 3 months old lay eggs like this, and talk about scary and concern for your geckos.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. So, again, failure, fix, and move on. I look for those males as soon as I can pull them out. I pull them out.
3 months, are they like abnormally large? Are they just like a bigger female 3 months, or were they just a regular old 3 month old producing?
About my finger length, not even my finger length, my pinky length.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It is scary.
I mean, like I said,
It's
my
interesting.
female just hit
scary,
a
but that's
year,
interesting.
and I'm still not even ready to pair them up. Because, like I said, I gotta get everything set up for that. Because, like you said, when I see all these eggs right here, it's like holy shit. Because I mean, like my Stropharis, she gave me 11 clutches this year, so I'm like, man, I don't know if I could do. I don't know what the Pictus geckos will do then. If that one female gave me 11 clutches, imagine what they're gonna give me.
11 clutches. That's cute.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah, Periodora, you're right. You're right, Anthony. There's something in nature that says you guys have to produce early and just like all the time because
Still
something else
interesting
is
though. It's
depending.
amazing. It's interesting. All those little nuances, all those little things are what really gets my gears turning. I mean, because again, I know I say it a lot, but Mother Nature doesn't typically do anything by accident.
Here's a little Periodor 3, 4. Sorry, I can't see around my camera here, but the two in the middle are amelanistic. They're the orange type, and the two on the far left are the look like normal. One is reticulated, and the bottom one is stripe.
Those
Is
things,
there
those are Pictus geckos too.
Those are picta geckos.
Really? Those look like those things you got, Jay.
Yeah, I was about to because when I saw the brown ones, I was like, "Are those nebulosas?"
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, they
Is
are
there
nebulosas.
is there a
You want to buy
gecko?
a pair? I'm sorry. Go ahead. What?
I was to say, is there a gecko in the back?
Yeah, in the tray.
Like,
There
look in the
Came out
back.
of here probably.
There
See him up
is.
there?
I don't. Maybe that one got away from me, and he's just kind of hiding on the.
See him
He's
up
just
there
looking
hanging
at
out
you.
on the tray? He's
Yeah,
in
Good
the
eye.
lip of the tray. That's cool. You should do this for one of the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas, like spot the gecko thing.
Yeah, I like that.
He's brown, so he came out of that one over there with the 3 eggs. He came out of the first slide.
And that's the fun part with those geckos is you just never, ever know what you're going to get with the Periodora picta.
You don't know what they're going to look like?
For the most part, they're very much, other than Amel right now, there's
Well, that's
not
what I was
a
going to
whole
say.
lot
So an
known.
amel could pop out of a regular clutch? Really?
Probably not that, but like a bolt stripe could pop out of a normal clutch, a
Oh,
red could
really?
pop out of a normal clutch, a snow could pop out of a normal clutch. But they're like leopard geckos, they're like the crested geckos of 10, 15 years ago, where if you're working with two pinstripes, you're probably going to get pinstripes. Kind of
Yeah,
that
okay.
trait, genetics. This picture, so again, we're using the high fired clay material on the bottom wet and on the top dry in the bottle caps, and also in these diet dishes. These are just little 2-ounce condiment cups. I use these all over the place. But here, I've got stuff hatching out all over the place. We've got Periodora stumphi, we have Tanganicus, we have a Hemidactylus. Um, can't think of the name of it now, but another one that's gone out of the.
Is this in another bin? See, there's two more on the ground in the back of this one too. So you have this bin in another bin. Like, see those two out
So
there?
so I have, again, failure, fix, and move on.
I know
This
what
was
you're
a
doing.
failure. So Wally, room and space and save and everything all together. Well, that worked for a couple of years, and by doing this, obviously, they're running all over the place, and I'm trying to collect, and some of them are very fast, and some of them, like the Stumpfi, aren't super fast, but they're a little quick. Tanganicus are super fast. That's bothering me what Hemidactylus that was. But anyways, so they would get out and on my cart, and I'm chasing, and the top goes back on the hat, and it was just a mess. So I got this big plastic container, this like 60 quart. I would put this tray in the 60 quart so I could collect a lot easier. Well, then I figured out, why the heck am I doing it this way in the first place? So every single group like this goes in their own container. Every single bottle cap goes in their own container. Unless I have the little teeny tiny bottle caps like you see there, the little water bottle caps, I can get two in one container, and that works out really well. But the bigger bottle caps with bigger eggs, they'll go into their own container. This is an
What are the
old,
chance you
old.
sell any incubating medium on your website? You sell an incubation medium over there?
Maybe we'll see a picture of that coming up.
Oh, surprise,
We'll
surprise.
we'll get there. This is
All
an
right.
old picture. Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for asking about that. This is an old picture, and again,
See
this was the
variety.
yeah, it's a huge variety. This was one day's collection. I think we collected over
Gee,
120. I think it was 120 eggs or something like that one day. Um, what I wanted to point out here was that, if I remember right, in the bottom left is some kind of a chondrodactylus. It might be a hemidactylus. I can't read the tag, but anyways, I stopped doing the sand thing because the sand, putting it directly into sand, again, you would think, well, that should be humid enough and it keeps the humidity in. The problem is that sometimes it does collect a little bit of moisture, and if moisture gets in there, the whole pile of sand will become moist and the eggs will go bad. So I stopped doing that, and I started using the high fired clay material and the bottle cap method.
Okay.
interesting.
So
I've never seen
have you ever
sand
had
though.
like because I actually what was it, not too long ago, one of my triatus eggs, there was all these flies in there, and it was like I had everything sealed, so I was like, what the hell just happened here? And they literally, like, my it was broken open, the egg was broken open and everything, ate everything inside the egg, and I'm like, what is going on? I've never had that happen. Has that ever happened to you?
That happens on almost a weekly, maybe not a weekly basis, at least 2 or 3 times a month
Okay.
for us, because simply because the volume of eggs that we're doing. I
Yeah.
My theory is that if there's bugs, there's a way for them to get into stuff like this, and if
Yeah.
they can, that's their job, is to take care of decaying stuff. They get in there, they infest. The eggs become, I hate to say it and gross, but they become maggots and they feed on the decaying, rotten stuff. And if an egg goes bad, I'm a big believer that as long as that egg is good, you're not going to get anything in there. Once you get anything in there, like the maggots or the flies or whatever, maggots will turn into flies. Once you get that in, the egg was already bad. There's nothing you could have done. Either you broke it collecting it, or there was a problem in its laying. Mom, maybe, I don't know. and that egg was bad, and it just happened to go bad at some point during incubation. So pull it, throw it out, you're done.
Look at that egg. Didn't she roll it around in the sand and the substrate?
That is a helmeted.
Yeah, see how
That's
that
that's
egg though, the shell on that egg over there is so like lumpy, like it was almost wet and they rolled it in the sand or something.
yeah. Some eggs are like that. The scorpion tails are similar to that, where the eggs will kind of collect this I don't know, tuberous.
Build up.
Yeah, kind of built, maybe calcium buildup. I'm not quite sure.
Really? I thought
Good
it was
point,
like
Jason.
sand just from them laying it, like when she laid the egg and it was wet. Like my
Yeah,
Abanawi eggs, when she lays them, they're white. She rolls them in the dirt. And then
Yeah, it
that
collects
dirt
that dirt.
on them gets hard and they look brown. They're not laid like that. I tried to film it, but the glare coming off the light was so bad I never posted it. But they roll them with their back feet into the dirt. And then they get that, yeah, you see. But I thought that's what that was. So
no,
they're born like that. They're laid like this.
they're laid like that. Yeah, so they'll go into the incubator just like that, and they'll stay the same until they hatch out. I think on the
Interesting.
bottom egg you can see the little teeny tiny opening where the baby hatched
Yeah.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Here
Jelly, how
again,
long?
I'm using vermiculite. It doesn't really matter that bottom medium. It really doesn't matter. It really matters though the medium that's in the cup. Big believer in
Okay.
that.
Okay. So what are these all tarantulas, or is it something you
No,
got a
they're
couple?
not. Those two
Okay.
are. Again, this is back in the day where I thought I was smart enough to be able to keep these all separate, and by doing that though, sometimes I would get a helmeted that would hatch out, and they're kind of slow and methodical. But then on the right you can see some kind of a periodora.
It
So now I've
worked,
got the
right? You
little
got
helmet.
here. You made it 25 years doing whatever you were doing. I mean, obviously adapting, but you made it. It was working.
Yeah, you had mentioned I've never seen anybody do it like that with the eggs in the sand. That's
Yeah,
because
no.
everybody was smarter than me from the beginning and did it the right way instead of me that thought that I
You've
could do it
hatched them,
this way.
right? The sand worked. You may have found a better way, a way that works better for you, but it worked, right? I mean,
You're being too kind.
it's the
Thank you,
truth. I
though.
think that's
Yes,
awesome.
that I, and I guess my feeling is that even if we're doing something wrong, as long as we're observing and learning, then we're okay.
Evolving, adapting.
Evolving. You made a comment earlier, Anthony. I'm going to bring this up in another
Do that a
episode.
lot.
Somebody asked, "What would you do differently in your facility if you started over?" And I think it was with
It was with Mark.
I it was with Mark. Yes, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
with Mark. Thank you. And I think Anthony, you said I wouldn't do a doggone thing different because that's the learning process. I've got to agree with you. I feel like some of my strengths were developed from doing things the wrong way and having that stick so hard that I'll never ever 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 do it that same
Sure,
way
that's what I
again.
meant. I feel
You
so
know,
lame saying it, like there could be a million better answers, but that's the truth. I mean, had I had changed anything, I wouldn't know what I know now, kind of thing. It's one of those trick
spot on,
questions, I guess.
spot on. So
Are
we
these one
work
of
with
those
a
little guys that eat the springtails?
These are not. These guys
This
are
thing is
actually a
smaller
pretty
than
rare
this. This
gecko.
thing's
This
barely as
is
big as
Periodora
vermiculite.
McLaughlin. Their bodies are jet black, and
Uh,
that orange. The picture I sent you doesn't do them justice at all. I'm a terrible photographer, but the tail and the head are just a gorgeous, gorgeous orange, and the black and the white.
the
Just
whole
this
thing
is a
is cool. It looks like he's
striking.
wearing a t-shirt.
Well, this is a
No pants.
regular milk cap, bottle cap. So you can kind of, I don't have any, but they're, about that round
Yeah, yeah.
ish. So this guy is, I don't know, what is that?
Like a,
2/3 the size of a bottle cap.
like half an inch
That's
or something.
cool.
Yeah. We
Can you
have
keep
smaller
these
ones
guys
coming up.
communally, or do they? What's you can?
I do. I do. And that goes back to another point that I made earlier. I watch and watch and watch, and eventually I'll see one of the extra males kind of hanging up at the top. And they're not, males aren't aggressive to other males. They'll just push the other males out of the group. So I'll watch for that extra male and I'll pull that male and hold him until I can, create another group. And if I need a male, I'll use that male.
Very
If
cool.
that makes sense.
Very cool. I love how you have so much information about so many geckos I've never even heard of. I think it's It's just amazing. It's amazing on how much room I still have to grow. Well, there we go. And to learn.
So this is, I just kind of want to bring up that we use, different setups with this clay material. This is the tray, the bead box.
That's
So
my
we'll fill
setup
up the
right there.
containers, and I'll never do it like this though. This is a picture for from our store showing that
It's
the
your
medium is
Supreme
in
hatch,
the.
right?
Yes. And I'm not here to promote that, but
That's fine.
because
No,
there's
You
no,
other
no.
should
brands
be.
on the
Why the hell
market.
Yeah.
not? You should be.
Supreme hatch material actually was on the market before any of the other hatching materials. We
There
were
you
the
go.
first. So this is a tackle box, and this is the dry material, and I've thrown it in here. But usually, what I'll do is I'll mix it first, get it wet, and dump all the water, and then put the um, dark material, the moist material, in here.
Now, are you? We talked about this. Jason, Mark, and I had talked about this. Do you recommend? Do you personally boil, clean, and reuse yours, or do you recycle every season your clay material?
It's so cheap, and we buy bags. We buy pallets of this stuff because we're selling it off the
Tersize. How do you
website.
say it? Tersize.
Turpus.
Tersize.
Turfus.
Turfus.
Turpus.
Yeah.
So don't give away my secrets. No,
What?
I'm just
No, I
kidding.
played
I'm
baseball. I
kidding.
mean, you know
I'm
this. I
kidding.
played
If
baseball as a
people
kid.
can do that, that's great. And that's exactly what it is. It's the outfield, the warning track drying material. Um, so back to your question though, reuse it. Simply because it's so easy to do. I throw it into a 5 gallon bucket at the end of the season, a couple 3 5 gallon buckets at the end of the season, and I'll never reuse it during the season. So if we have something hatch out, that box, that tackle box or the hatch box goes to the side and it's not reused again. And then at the end of the season, I just dump it all into 5 gallon buckets and water, hot water, rinse off, hot water, rinse off, hot water, and then I let it dry out for the next season.
I think Jay. That's what you're saying. You did right. Jay and Mark. You probably both watched them and reused it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't yet. I just
I
let it
boil
dry
mine.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, I just boil it, then let it dry out for the next over winter. And then once it's time again, go ahead and start measuring, start adding water, getting everything ready to go. Let's see here.
That brings up a good question, Jason. We don't pre-mix. So if we're setting up a tackle box or a hide, I'll go to if I'm doing a tackle box, I mix that amount at that point and I'll put it into a bowl or something or a container, get it wet, and then use it for that tackle box or maybe two. I don't mix up this big amount at the start of the season and then let it sit and use it up. I don't know if you do that, but I just,
No, I go as I need. That's all it
yep,
is.
yep,
Yeah.
cool. So Supreme Hatch material, again, just like we were saying, it's the turfus material. You can find it at your local gardening place, but we sell it in these
But
bags
you
of
get a better
1 to 2.
deal and you get a cleaner product from Supreme.
Why we did this was because we wanted to be, like you said before, we wanted to be the complete one
I like the
stop and
little.
have the boxes and have, the feeding bowls and everything all in one place. And we get a lot of orders where it's not just Supreme Hatch
Sure.
material, it's this, and this. And then they're set for the whole season.
You got your instructions on there. You got this. Is cool, man. Very cool,
Thanks.
brother. I love your whole
Thank you
little
much.
marketing. You're very talented. Very talented when it comes to your brand and marketing products and stuff.
Thank you.
The ease of use that you make it for the consumer. Very, very cool.
Yes, and the thing there is, I've gone through a lot of the stuff, and we don't sell anything unless we've used it and we've proven it out. A huge believer in that. I see all of these new crusted gecko, and I'm not going to call anybody out at all, but I see all these crusted gecko diets, if you feel good using something different every other week, a different brand, that's cool. If it works for you, that's cool. But I just go back to 20 years of using Rapacia or Pangea, and the geckos seem to be doing real well with that. But then again, I'm adding the crickets to our adults as well. I just feel like it's easy to I used to fish a lot, and marketing to fishing lures isn't for the better of catching fish, it's to catch the fisherman's attention.
There you go.
We're
I like that.
I'm 100% opposed to that with anything that we're selling on our website. I'm 100%. This is what we've used, and we've eliminated a lot of other products, and we've settled on this because it works well for us.
It's awesome. I mean, well, that's the type of business people look for, right? Someone that stands behind what they sell. You know, we're
Yeah, I mean, if you're not using your own
very cool.
product, why would someone want to buy it? So, you know,
Well said.
And
Yep.
it's sad, but a lot of people do stuff like that. A lot of people, you know, there's some big companies out there. I don't want to drop any names, but guys I talk to that have huge collections that work for a big name company that don't use their product. And I've always wondered why. You know, guys that work for one lighting company, but yet they use another lighting company's lights on their own stuff. It's
It
always one.
seems odd.
It's always
it's
made
telling.
me
That's
curious.
what it is. It's telling of what they really think of their products. So
Could be.
So the question is, why Supreme Hatch material instead of vermiculite, perlite, peat moss, dirt? Why Supreme Hatch material or any clay, high fired clay material? Well, the easy answer is because you can easily tell when it's wet and when it's dry. If you're seeing standing water in it, it's too wet. When you prepare it, take that whatever container that you're putting the Supreme Hatch material, the high fired clay material in, fill it up, fill it all the way up past the material, let it sit for a couple of minutes because it's porous, and make it get into those pores, and then dump all the water off. Drip, drip, drip. Okay, all the water's off. Now you can use it into your hatch boxes, into your hatch trays. Watch, because sometimes if you have holes, little air holes in your boxes, like we do in our hatch boxes, it will eventually dry out a little bit, and it'll start at the corners, start looking a little bit lighter. That's when you go to your, diffuser bottle and you just pour a little bit of tiny bit of
After
water,
you went to
better,
supremegeckos.com and bought your diffuser bottle, that is.
and made sure that you don't pour too much. It's better to pour a small amount than too much in there.
Do your bottles have measurements on them? Do you have measurements on your diffuser bottles? Not that it matters, but
They do. They do have measurements. How about that? These are
well, it's good for ratios. Some people
250,
like ratios. Some people are number
250
freaks.
millimeters. Milliliters.
I like my mixing bottles when I make my food in. I have to have mixers on them. You know, I use kitchen bottles. They use them for, I use a bigger one, but they use it for like mixing stuff in like a commercial kitchen. But I only get the ones that have the measurements on them, just so I know how many not equal parts, but parts of whatever ingredient I'm adding is. I could just tell by how much it raises,
Yes, I like that too.
Here we go.
Hatch box. We use hatch boxes again for the bottle cap kind of incubating.
Save
I've
and
gone over
bundle,
from
guys. Save and bundle. Only
there
at
you go.
supremegeckos.com. Or
Let me talk to our marketing manager because that person did a good job with this bundling thing, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
should
sure
give
they
him a
sure
raise.
did. They sure did. How many of those little boxes do you get with a bag? Oh, five
We get
boxes. Five
5 boxes.
boxes right here in front of me, guys. Clearly I don't read. 5 boxes, 1 pound a hatch. That's a hell of a deal. Now, what does something like that cost somebody?
I'll tell you in a second. I don't know.
I
I
think we
don't
were
know
talking
price.
to the guy that made the
Seriously,
website.
I don't know prices. I've been selling Pangea for 20 years, and I don't know how much an 8 ounce package of Pangea. I don't. The weird thing is, I don't focus on that kind of stuff
Point
because
is, these
I have
boxes
it
and
right
this clay
here.
will last you guys
It'll
100
last.
seasons. You
Yeah.
boil it, you clean it, you use it, you clean your boxes. This will last you as long as you're breeding. The only thing you may have to do is buy some more. You may have to buy a couple more boxes and some more hatch if your collection gets as big as Wally's is.
It's super easy to use. We use these boxes for those bottle cap kind of eggs, the harder shell eggs, and then we'll use the trays like we saw before, where you just put the Supreme Hash material in the tray for like crested geckos and
But you can use
gargoyles.
those for my lychees. I keep in boxes just like that. I just wet it. I put my lychees are in. Their eggs are much bigger, but I put them in those little, I don't know, whatever, 3 inch, these things, 3 inch square boxes. I put the 2 eggs in there with that wet, you know. I'm in an incubator, so I guess the humidity doesn't really matter if you're leaving them out in the room. But any which way, they work for a million things. These things have so many applications when it comes to incubating that you won't go wrong, guys.
Yes.
or the
Love
other
these
trays.
boxes.
I use the other trays also.
Yep. I don't know,
And
Jason,
not for
what do you
nothing,
use?
Wally sells them all.
What? So I use. Hold on, I got a couple different things. Uh, so I use deli cups for most of my stuff actually. So I got small deli cups, big deli cups, and then this little thing right here. This is my Chihuahua one. So I end up what is it? So this one has I don't know if you can see that, but yeah,
Can you tip it more toward the camera, kind of like on end?
yeah,
Can we see it? No, don't do that.
That came with a tray in it, right, Jay? Does that still have a tray in it?
yeah,
Did it come
yeah.
with a tray?
It came with a tray. I took it out because I didn't need it. No, I don't even know where that tray's at anymore. It's been so long. But yeah, generally this is what I mainly do right here is just grab deli cups and then depending on the species, like if it's a high humidity species, I end up taping all these holes and then just doing the air exchange by opening it. But like this one does has no holes in it at all. So I for the Chihuahuas, so I end up just opening it for air exchange, and then for my Stropheris, same thing, but actually it's a little bit bigger, and then it has those egg crates. These things, yeah. Put it inside. Put the eggs right there, so they're not touching the substrate or the medium. And generally, that's what I do right there.
And again, you're using different methods than me, but it's working for you. So goodness
It's got different
gracious,
species
don't
too. Jason's got a
change.
bunch of different species that are
Yep.
Trying to
very
catch up to
unique,
Wally.
very uniquely incubated. But I guess you have a. Do you have any Arizona species? Do you have any Australian species, Wally?
Oh
You
I
yeah,
do.
have
yeah.
the Oduras, the
Oh, you
velvet
do.
geckos. I
Hmm.
have knobtails. What else?
Don't you got underwater source?
Underwoodosaurus. Thank you, thank you. And I'm sure. Oh,
So
Bavaye.
binos,
No, sorry, not
bino,
Bavaye. That's Madagascar. What's that?
the
Benoye. Yep,
Banoy. Yeah.
yep, yep. So touches here and there.
Let's see.
Where would you say most of your species are from? What do you have any like one region where most of yours come from? Where are all those little guys from?
Specifically from our basement, because I keep them all in our. They're just all over the place. So
All over the world.
I'll see an animal. There's really not. I love Madagascar. I love Madagascar. I love the Periodora, and if I could keep more of the Periodora, I absolutely would. Um, but I'm just a fan of all the geckos. I'll see something like Jason will show, and I'll go, I want that animal. But it's always a matter of room and resources, and you do what you can do.
So, do you have any requirements for the geckos that you want? Is there any certain requirements that you that they have to meet before you be like, you know what, before I get that,
Non-negotiables.
yeah.
Yeah, yes. So I hear a lot of people saying, some of the criteria that they're using is it has to be non insect. So I just want morning geckos or day geckos, or not that you should only feed day geckos, crusted gecko diet, but I want something like that, crusted geckos. And again, all of these animals are eating insects in the wild, so you really should be feeding insects. But I hear that a lot. My criteria is I can't think of an animal other than maybe a giant day gecko that's over 4.5 to 5 inches in my collection. So it's all small. So if I ever got into dart frogs, the small dart frogs, it'd be like game over because I would fill up the basement with 1,000 enclosures of these little dart. So I like managing enclosures and managing space almost as much as I enjoy working with the geckos. Um, just keeping a variety. I need to be, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. So I have to have a variety. So if I kept lychees, that would, diminish my collection considerably. And it just wouldn't be as appealing to me in my interest of keeping something really, really big and keeping a lot smaller of a number of them.
Sure.
Does that make sense? So
For
it
Yeah.
has to be small.
sure. One more question. I got a question for you
Yeah.
about incubating, and it's just because this picture has got me thinking. And I wanted to ask you earlier when you had said you had to go grab a hoverbaiter and set it up. A lot of people buy these things, and I am not so sure that anyone has the same style. How do you set up your hoverbator thermostat, maybe not. How are you setting up with species in mind? Different species, but how are you setting up your hoverbaiter for gecko eggs?
I don't, because Nanette does all of that work. So she's kind of the queen of the. No, I'm kidding, obviously. Um, we've gone over. I used to use hoverbaiters, and actually, when I built the two incubators that we have downstairs, just little wine coolers, or nothing fancy. But I would start up, my string of hoverbaiters before I would start up the do-it-yourself incubators, and I just plugged them in through a temperature thing in there and a thermometer in there, and
Pro,
kind of watched it. I'd run it for a couple of weeks just to make sure I've got my 80, my 86 to 88 for one or two of them, and I'd let them go, and you just watch them. So you open up the incubator, a hoverbator, and the very first thing that I always looked at was the temperature. I don't think I ever had a hoverbaiter go bad on me, ever. And I
you want
ran
one?
hoverbaiters for
You
what's
want
that?
one? I said, you want one?
I think I
I bought
have.
it in the freaking. The element didn't go, but my fan went. I didn't throw it out. I got it upstairs because I saw that I can buy the parts for it. So I'm like, I'll use it one day, and I just want to buy a different incubator. But
So
I use them for my bearded dragons. That's what I used to use was the hoverbators when I was pumping out dragons.
I would strongly suggest not buying them because it's such a small space. I have the feeling that you don't need air circulation in these as much as you do in a bigger enclosure, a bigger incubator. So we didn't buy them with the fans in them, and I never had
Really?
problems with these at all. I talked to Joe Hupp, and he says exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Now
You
he'll
probably still
say
use it.
he does. He absolutely
Yeah,
does.
he
And
does.
he'll say run them for about 4 or 5 years and throw them out. And ours are probably 8 to 10 years old. Now, again, I haven't been running hoverbators for probably about 8 to 10 years or so because of the other two incubators. But now, with so many eggs, I have to run one, and it's maintaining the 82 degrees. I check every couple of
Awesome. I
days.
know a lot of guys that still use them, Wally. I know plenty of people breeding that are working with tree monitors use them. I know guys that are working with snakes that are using them. I know guys that are like going out right now to buy hoverbators, man.
I mean, they're
They're a
not
little
I
crazy
think it's
different
a great
expensive,
now. They have
option.
so
screens on them and the light where you can
they
check
got
the
digital
egg.
ones too.
Yeah, they're pretty.
When I was buying mine, I would go to Farm and Fleet or Fleet and Farm or any of the, kind
Tractor
of,
Supply. Hell yeah, that's
yeah,
where I got
Tractor
it.
Supply. And I was paying like $45 a
That's
piece
about
for
what they
them. So I
are.
bought six, I think six of them. Now they're about 100. And I think for $100, you can't invest in something more important for your
Well, when you look
action
at the
needs.
style and you look at Jason has the newest, really in all actuality, the newest version of a commercially available one, and it's arguably very similar to these. So they know how good these were.
Yeah, I mean, mine's still going. I think I've had mine for like 3 or 4 years now. The Exoterra
Yeah.
Incubator Pro. Yeah,
That's like
I
the
mean,
newest one they make, right? That's the newest.
yeah,
They stopped
yeah,
making the refrigerator one like I have, and they started making those things, and they see how good they work. There's no reason to fix something that's not broken. So they're my point is this style is clearly very effective.
I think it is. And, until you have one go bad, obviously, it's going to be a good incubator. And once it goes bad, it's the worst thing in the world because you're going to lose all your eggs. If the waffle, sticks, if the gauge sticks, you're done. Unless you catch it like immediately. Um, it is what it is. But, I've had a lot of success, and I know a lot of other bigger breeders other than Joe that have used them and still use them, and they work okay. I would strongly suggest if you're a smaller scale, go with a hoverbaiter first, and $100, that could be not even the cost of one baby that you raise up. So invest in a hoverbaiter to start off with. Get your incubation temperatures and your medium and your humidity and water content of your medium down first, and then, after a season or two, if you feel like you've dialed it in, go make your own, or go grab one of the more expensive commercial ones.
yeah. I keep on looking at those sea serpents. Like, One of these days, I'm gonna
I
afford
want a
it.
Wilbanks one, man. So I love
For
those
that too.
Wilbanks ones,
Yeah.
man.
I
One day.
literally, Jason, I have a sea serpent card sitting on my desk right here because my next big purchase in the facility will be a big incubator. Where I
How
put
much
it,
are
I
they?
don't
Still
know,
like
but
they're like $1,200. How much are they? They like Wilbanks,
yeah,
Yeah, it
about
just
that.
depends on the size, you know.
so they're heating and cooling. Then
Yeah, I don't know if
So
the sea serpents does that, but I know, like you said, the whale banks, they you could do the diapods
different
for like
levels, man. Wilbanks
for
out. You could control the different
chameleons.
layers.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, you just need that air circulation. You need a dependable constant temperature. So here again, this is going back to 20 years ago or so. About we've got some leopard gecko eggs. The key to this picture is I was using sorry, I was using Purolite, and the
I
key to
use
that
it
is
too. I use it today.
if it I'm going to say it again. If you're not listening, folks,
No,
if
I
it
feel
works
so
for you, do
antique talking
not
to both of you. I
change.
feel like the old one over here.
No,
I guess
if it works for
technically
you,
I
do
am.
not change.
Oh, see, there
hatch
you
right,
Let's see
go.
what that is.
hatch
What is
right.
that? Do you use Hatch Right?
Yeah,
I'm going to stop talking for a couple of minutes.
I'm
Go
using
ahead, folks.
perlite though.
Talk
I use them all.
amongst
I use the
yourselves.
clay and I use the perlite. I think
yeah.
that I've never used vermiculite though. I've never used vermiculite, and I've heard people. And you want to
I
know why
use
I try a lot of this stuff is because I can't be any type of valid authority on any of them if I haven't used them. So I like using
yeah.
them so I can give honest feedback. But I've tried some. I've tried volcanic ash, like this real. It's from Tahiti. It's a volcanic ash. They use it for bonsai trees. It holds water like a clay, but it's not a clay. I thought it was complete crap. I would never use it again. It worked, but I think it held too much water for too long. I But the perlite, I'd be lying. I never used the vermiculite. Like I said, I still want to try vermiculite in a little controlled situation. But I found the perlite to work incredible for me. Sometimes it would grow algae on it, but it never molded. I never had any real.
About the time that I was using these hoverbators so heavily and didn't have my do-it-yourself incubators, I ran a trial of I think it was like 20 crusted gecko eggs per medium, and I used 8 to 10 mediums, and um, one of them. So one was kitty litter, a high
Really?
absorbent. One was a driveway absorbent. One was a gravestone headstone um, sand, like they use for
Yup.
sandblasting.
Crushed stone, like for
Yeah, yeah,
driveways.
very
Yup,
small
yup, yup.
pellets. Again, lots of space, lots of way to for the medium to hold moisture. One was Hatchright, heat moss, all the way down the line, perlite, vermiculite, blah blah blah. So my results with the 20 eggs, and this isn't scientific, and I know that I should have done
Awesome.
more, and I should have, but I did 20 eggs in every single one, and I'm going to say that I had very similar results in every single, and perlite was um I don't think I did. Boy, I think Supreme Hash material or the clay material was top. I don't know if I did that or not, and if I did, it was number one for sure. But Perlite and Vermiculite were right below it. But I had used that for a few years, and I kind of knew the moisture content. And all the way down, dirt wasn't too bad, So now 2% less, 2%, 5%, until I got to Hatch Right, and Hatch Right was like 20% success rate out of 20 eggs.
Wow.
And I'm not saying, again, it's a terrible, terrible product. For me, I'm saying it was
Yeah.
a terrible, terrible
So
product.
I use
For me, it didn't work at all.
hatch right. I use hatch right for my Stropharis, my Haemophilus, um, Cerdodactylus, and Blazodactylus. So the only thing that gets like the clay material is my Chihuahuas.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Isn't the
Your
hatch
eggs,
right? Isn't
though,
the hatch right the clay? Isn't
No, no. Hatch right
hatch
looks like
right is not
perlite.
clay?
No, hatch right looks like perlite, and then
Really?
yeah, yeah, and then that
I
stuff.
thought it was clay.
No, no, it's that white stuff.
it's the perlite,
Shit.
but it has the water crystal gel in it
Yeah,
Really?
to keep the moisture. And
No
my
Yeah.
shit.
fear,
I've never
Jason,
seen
is
it.
that
Never looked. Never saw
people
it.
forget about that and they let it go, assuming that it will never dry out, and
Well, it
that
dries
hillock
out.
loses.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
I
also
add water
use
to it.
too?
Yeah.
You know the lichen balls or the leca balls everybody uses for their
Yeah,
drainage. Well, they make a tiny, tiny little one. They're the size of BBs. I use those for my Chihuahua eggs because they don't. There's no sharp edges. When I put two eggs in at once, the balls almost hold it in place. It's kind of weird. It's like put them in a bucket of ball bearings. They come in small bags, but like 1 pound is like $6 on Amazon. They're literally smaller than BBs, perfectly round little clay balls. I use those in a little tray for the Chihuahuas. They sit perfect in them.
I like that idea.
So talk about what's going on right here,
Yeah,
Wally.
I'm curious what's going on here, Wally.
So, looking at that middle egg just below the brush, the little nail painting brush, um, is an egg that has started leaking. And you could see the gooey mass under it. And the point here is that um, you can use a nail enamel, a nail paint,
Hardener,
the
yeah, that
clear,
clear stuff. Yeah, that clear stuff.
to cover up a little area where it started to leak, or if you
Really?
have mold starting on your egg, and I've heard this with Dr. Scholl's foot powder, you could,
I was just going to
dabble a little
say
bit.
I
talcum
heard that
powder.
too. Yeah.
I've never had success with this. I've never, ever, ever had success. And it might be that, and I think with you guys too, you've kind of dialed in the whole moisture thing. My feeling is that sometimes people use the medium and put too much moisture and the eggs start molding, and their thought is, well, let me fix that problem. Well, the reason for this picture again is, let's take 2 steps back and let's get that moisture content fixed first before worrying about this mold thing. you, you shouldn't have that much. You should hardly ever see mold on an egg. If it goes bad, it should just
If
dent
it's
in. And
bad, if it's crap.
yeah, yeah, that's my thought.
That's
Have you
Now,
interesting.
ever? I was gonna say, have you
I've
ever done
heard
This
of
like
this
people
is
the
that have
this
had
is a cool
success with
trick.
this.
Another thing I learned, because I've had eggs leak and I didn't know what to do, and I guess I lost them all. Really, I mean, I haven't had many, but you'll see them start dripping. And I mean, I'm not talking about sweating like a lychee egg or something, but they'll start oozing. A little clear drip will come out of it.
Yep. Do you guys candle your eggs at all?
Yeah. Well, when I pick them up,
How often? How often do you candle your eggs?
just when I collect them.
probably like right when I get them, so I make sure I'm doing it or having the thing upright, and then usually I'll check like maybe halfway through the process, see if the egg is growing or see if the embryo is
Really?
growing inside, just to see the development, and then after like the halfway more part, I generally leave them alone unless I'm just bored, and I'll be like, let's see what's going on. No,
I
I
think
just
it.
candled eggs yesterday because I got eggs from my Chinese cave geckos, so I wanted to check them out, see if they're developing, and I was looking like, okay, stuff's developing there. I'm all right. I'm cool now. I'm good.
That's cool.
That whole rolling of the egg and the embryo placement, and especially the first couple of weeks, is such a controversial thing. And I don't want to delve into that during this show. I think that somebody needs to set up an experiment
I
and really
have,
go
and
through
that's what I'm
this.
saying. I could debunk it. I've picked up eggs and I candle them when I pick them up. But the thing is, before I pick them up, I clean the dirt off and I mark them. I can't tell you how many times I've picked them up and the fucking Cheerio, excuse my language, is on the bottom. Like it's already on the bottom. I marked it as it was in the bin, pull it up, it's on the bottom. So I put it back take it out of where I collected it and put it into the incubator box the way it was, and they hatch fine on so many different occasions. Yeah, I could go on about other little things that I've done too, and I still will. When I pick them up, I'll make sure that the Cheerios, wherever, if I don't mark them, like with crested geckos, I don't typically do it because I'm collecting so many. But like the
Yes.
lychees and other species and whatnot. But I also was speaking to Scott. I talked to a few people who don't do it. They swear they don't believe it's a thing. Uh, Scott from Miami Art Geckos had a bin one time, and his cat knocked it over, and he dropped them all. He didn't know which way they were. He didn't put markers on his because he doesn't believe in putting marker on the egg and like passing toxin through whatever. So he didn't know what directions they were. He put them back in the egg box. And he said every one of them hatched.
Jason,
Yep.
do you what's your thoughts about the positioning of the eggs?
I mean, I don't
Trust me.
really have. Yeah, I don't. I mean, yeah, I mean, I put the little. I do the whole marker thing, mark the top of it, and then we'll go from there. Like, um, I've never had. Well, I mean, I do it just because when, like I said, when I had my Zabracus hatch out or my Nebulosus hatch, they knocked every egg over. So yeah, so then I had to go make sure I put them back with the dot side up. So I mean, I guess it's just out of habit. I guess
Yep.
like
Yep.
yeah, it's just
It
out of
really
habit.
doesn't cost
I think
anything,
so.
right?
I think, and
It
like I
doesn't
said, I
take
do
that
it
much time.
myself when I have the chance. I do. I always just place it in with it up. But with the other, like I said, those times where I've pulled them up and checked them after taking them up and the Cheerio is not up. So how do I know that they're always all up? When I collect the crested geckos, I don't mark them before I pull them out of the hatch boxes. I just take them out, clean them off, then I look for the Cheerio, put my mark on them, and put them in the bin. But the ones that I have checked, dot it before I pull out, have not always been at the bottom.
It's hard because there's so many theories out there. And whatever I say is just a belief. It's not scientific in any means, but I believe, like Anthony, that I don't really think the first couple of weeks matters. I think that you can pull them and you can place them, and you whatever you do is they're fine. Anthony Caponetto says exact AC Reptile says exactly the same thing. It really doesn't matter. Now, after a month and a half, does it matter? I don't know, but I'm not willing to gamble, eggs by moving them. I'm just gonna like, don't move those eggs, leave them where they're at. Do I mark them because we have so many eggs? I don't take the time to mark them. And again, we're keeping eggs kind of separate anyway, so we have one or two, and I'm generally, once one hatches, I'm pretty much finding them pretty quick. And I tend not to see the others move that often. I kind of know where the eggs are and everything as much as I can. But my belief is that the first couple of weeks doesn't really matter. But then I don't think they matter too much after that either. But I don't know until
There's
somebody
nothing
does a
wrong with
study.
sticking to what works, though, right? Like we
Yes.
do it, it works. Why argue it, But truth be told, there is quite a few people that have much bigger collections than mine that don't think it's a thing at all. They just pop them in a box and leave them alone, and that's that. But it's a good way to keep track, right? It's an extra step, and why the hell
If
not, right? I just
right. It doesn't cost nothing. So
yeah,
why not,
it's one extra step.
same for us. Put them in the box and leave them alone. And so if you haven't candled an egg, and if you want to know if it's fertile or not, and Jason, you guys, Anthony, if you candle it early on, you'll see the little red lines, and you'll see the dot and everything. But what's super cool, guys, is if you're watching this, if you've never candled a developed egg that's just ready to hatch, it's ready to hatch because the softer ones like crested lychees, chihuahuas will swell up, ballpark frank kind of swelling up. You'll start seeing you can see the embryo if you candle, and it's a simple trick of just holding the egg in a little circle that you make with your finger and thumb. Put the egg on top, and then just take in the dark, take a small flashlight and just put it underneath, and you can see that light come up. You can see the embryo moving around, and the
See them moving
coolest thing
in.
is that embryo will sense the light and just kind of do a little boogie dance, and it's so cool to see them. I've never had one hatch out, but I've seen examples. I've talked to people that have had this candling experience and had the gecko hatch out for them, when they're candling. And that's got to be super cool.
I got
Oh
a
yeah.
video on my Instagram of that. I got a video. I was
Very
touching
cool.
them, and he literally, I was looking at the egg in my hand, doing something. I don't know what I was doing, and the Joker just popped out right in my hand. That's the coolest thing. Me catching a
Yeah.
video of it is even cooler.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had
Yeah.
them before too, where I rub them, where one clutch egg has hatched, Like one will be out and already hatched, and I'll know the other one's coming or something. So I'll like rub it, to stimulate the egg. Because really, I've been told why you should leave one egg with them sometimes for a little bit because that movement stimulates the other egg into knowing that it's time to hatch. I'll just clearly I don't know anything scientific, but I've heard this. So I'll rub them, and I've had them pop right out just from rubbing the egg.
I've done the same thing too. And to go back, 3 or 4 slides or pictures, when we saw the leaking, if I find an egg that's starting to leak, that's exactly what I will do. I'll start rubbing a little bit to see if I can
Okay, see, so
promote
it's not a
that
myth.
hatching process. Oh gosh, no, it's absolutely not. You can do that rubbing, and they, if they're far enough along, that will
Yeah,
stimulate them enough
I
to
used
hatch out.
to when I would watch the was it the underground reptiles, the guy that owns it with the tegus. He would do it. He would start rubbing the tegu eggs, boom, burst right out.
That's where I heard it from. It wasn't geckos. It was something with bigger eggs. They were saying that
Yeah,
that's how. Oh, it's about crocodilians. That when one hatches, they'll call, but also the calling and the moving is what stimulates the other crocodiles to start hatching and coming in to hatch.
Thank you, Mother Nature. That's
Yeah,
so
right.
yeah.
cool.
Let me ask you something, Wally. So with your micro geckos, is it how hard is it for you to see the embryos in those, like when they first lay them? Because I know I have a difficult time, like the nebulosas and the triadids. I was like, I
Oh,
can't
look,
see a
now I can't
damn
see
thing.
shit. I
Yeah.
couldn't see nothing on Ebanawi.
So with those smaller eggs, I don't think I've ever candled anything other than crested gargoyle leopard
Okay.
gecko eggs. I don't think I've ever candled, simply because, see this? Those are really fat, clumsy fingers. The best I can do is collect that egg and put it in a bottle cap with the Supreme
You're
Hatching
already
Tray.
ahead of
If I
me.
can do that, it's a win-win, and
Break
it's a done
fifty
deal.
percent of the Ebanawi eggs, man. I feel like I hate myself. I one of every clutch so far, 3 clutches. I broke one of every one trying to get them out. So I have 3 eggs from 3 different clutches because I can't get these things without my freaking hands. Ah,
It's hard, and we all do
I
it.
got to come up with a way. There's got to be something that people do, scoop them out or something with a spoon or something. But
That so that's what I do with my stropharis, because I mean they lay in a bin, so I end up just getting a little plastic spoon and just moving little by little, and then as soon as I start seeing white, I start going a little bit slower, going around it, and then boom, get them up. I mean, because I mean their eggs are only about like that big, so but they lay it like not all the way in the bottom, just enough to cover the dirt still covering the bottom, so you can't tell where they actually laid at. So I kind of have to look at where is the dirt
wish I
piled
could
up at
small
and going
Ebanawi.
from there.
Same with these periodora. This is oh, is it Vizimba, or I think it's Androyensis.
That's a pretty
They'll lay
gecko.
just a couple of inches below the surface, so you have to go really slow. The whole spoon thing. I have a friend that does periodora picta as well, and he uses a spoon. And um, for me, I just like to use my fingers and go through the sand, just like you were describing, Jason, just super slow, and making sure that I can find them first, and then I uncover, and then I pick them up, as gently as I possibly can. But unfortunately, once in a while I make a mistake and I don't get them, but 99.9% of the time it's okay. Again, some of these eggs are super small. This is probably the size of a tic tac, if not smaller.
So you don't
Yeah,
have
I
any
This
mean,
is a
techniques like hidden secret tips to teach us? How are you? I know you said you
for
grab your
collecting
hands, but what are you using to get them out?
my hands.
Really? You haven't come up with anything yet, Wally.
I have not. I've tried the spoon and it just doesn't feel comfortable. Um,
look at this tic tac right here.
That's about twice the size of Abanawi egg.
That's from a tritus.
I use my, I get to a certain point, and I try to get them away from, sometimes they'll lay an egg next to the enclosure wall, so I'll try to get them away from the wall as best as I can. And then I have here's a little tiny secret. I'll not secret, but tip, I guess. I'll take the bottle cap and I'll put it right in the enclosure, right next to the egg, so that I am handling that egg as little as I possibly can, and I'll pick that egg up and put it right in the bottle cap.
I just
There
came
you
up with
go.
an idea. A straw with a piece of tape on it. Take a
See,
piece of tape on a straw or something and stick it, or something that's sticky.
I raise I'm sorry, Pachydermatous, and sometimes I'll raise them, I'll grow them up and breed them in enclosures, and I'll put the egg cartons in the enclosures because they like that leveling of gradient temperatures and um, group, structure. They like to maintain the groups in different levels. Sometimes they'll lay the eggs in the little divots in those
Yeah.
cardboard egg cartons. You know what I'm saying? And I can't. See that, folks? I
Yeah.
can't get in there and get them. So what I'll do is I'll take a piece of tape, Anthony, just like you mentioned, and I'll roll it up so it looks like kind of a funnel. So the tip is smaller than the top. And I'll grab it by the top, and I'll take that little groove and I'll put the tape in and pull
See?
out the eggs, and then grab the eggs and put them in the
Oh, there
cup.
you go.
Get to them that way. I don't do that all the time because that taking the egg off of the tape is a little bit of a
Yeah.
kind of a little bit of a gamble too. Now, Joe Hupp has mentioned that he uses like a straw from McDonald's, and he'll slice the bottom a little bit so that straw and up a little bit on the straw, so that he can place that straw right over the egg, and that gap surrounds the egg, and he can pick it up that way.
I know
What about a
I don't
slushy
exactly
feel
what
straw?
he's talking about.
yes. So I don't. I want to manage those eggs myself, and I've never felt comfortable doing it with like a
That's
foreign
kind of what
object. But
he's
that's
making is
me.
one of those things you would stick down a drain to pull hair out. You know, when you put the finger on it, it has little claws on it. He's in theory by splitting the straw, making one of those to put it over the egg, and the pressure of the egg is holding it in this. I know exactly what he's doing.
Yep.
Okay.
And that straw is soft and
Yep.
pliable,
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yep. So here you
Interesting.
go.
All
Here's
right.
a
Maybe I'll get a full clutch one time. These
so
things
we're kind
lay
of
less
making our
than
way.
30 days. They lay about 25 days. I'm getting a clutch.
Wow. We're kind of getting away from the how to incubate the eggs to now we're getting into the babies and what do you do with babies. And so here you can see some of these babies are super tiny. You had asked before about the sand, and I've never ever had a problem with sand, but I will say that another reason why I've gone away from perlite and vermiculite is that I have had babies, especially crusted geckos, that I've found unfortunately passed away because they've gotten small pieces of perlite or
Really?
vermiculite. Why? I don't know why. I've never ever had that with the Supreme Hash material, the clay material. I had it with that, and I moved immediately away from perlite and vermiculite. Never had the problem with
It
these
is
small
natural
geckos
though,
like
right?
this.
Perlite is just pumice. It's a natural stone, right? Pumice. It's what the hell, vermic or
Now look up perlite once. It's a
perlite.
volcanic
Yeah,
substance.
right. It was something that got so hot and it dries the way it does because it cured with air in it. Or
Yeah, I don't like the if you ever feel a piece of perlite, it's a little bit sharp.
I hear something bad for isopods too. Like people that can't kill isopods or mess up your isopods or something.
Wow.
I'm a big believer in not using perlite for
Really?
isopods, but yeah, oh, huge. And I know that some bigger
It's naturally
keepers
occurring. It's
do.
glass.
It's
It's
glass,
naturally
man.
occurring. It's a perlite is a naturally occurring volcanic glass rock that is heated to expand into a lightweight white styrofoam-like ball. It's used in gardening, adding soil, blah 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 blah.
I tell you,
That's interesting.
Anthony, you keep getting me on these soapbox kind of rants that I go on. I am a huge non-perlite believer, especially for isopods, but also
Well,
for
you're not
geckos
unique. I've heard other people.
because it's glass. And if you look at that perlite, that's not smooth. That's not smooth at all.
Makes sense.
So here I've hatched out this baby Periodora. It's very small. It's like, a digit or two, a couple of digits on my pinky. And I used to raise them in these small deli cups, maybe the 6 3/4 deli cups or the 4-inch deli cups. And that worked pretty well. And what I would do for heat sources was put it right next to a light. So take this, put a teeny tiny, water bottle cap and a milk cap in there, a little bit of calcium in the milk cap with the mealworms, or feed them fruit flies. But then take this deli cup and put it right next to a light for the heat source. So half of their container, their grow out for a month or so was that heat source. And I got away from this because it was harder to do. It took too much time. And also, I didn't feel like I was giving them enough gradients. So I had to move away from this method. But I mean, if somebody's, small scale, this is a great way to just raise, smaller geckos in these deli cups and just put it right next to a heat.
Jay does.
Yeah, I got these. I got the baby nebulosis and this one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that, like I said, that thing's like this big. So this is perfectly fine. Got little fake leaves in there and everything like that, so it can hop on different things. So give it that
Another
stimulus.
shameless plug. You guys see what my buddy Mike over at Parkour is making for the deli cups, right? He's working on another types too, but he makes these inserts to put right in there for our boreals, and you got these little.
I
You got
like
some?
that. I like it. Both
Got
from
them?
the reason that the animals take to it easier, but also it's easier for the keeper to feed. And when you can make it easier for you to feed, you're going to feed more often.
Feed, clean, all types of stuff.
We're going
Sure.
to see in just a couple of minutes some of these enclosures. Okay, shameless plug here. Oh, we skipped a couple of slides. I was going to show our crested gecko stand. Uh, a big stand of
Is that Wally back there?
11. No, that's not me. I
Isn't that a
always wear
young
my hat.
Wally?
That is not me at all. I don't know who. That's my brother, William. Um, Early on, I made a lot
About
of these
16
stands.
in that picture? 17?
I think he's probably, he's a twin, so he's the same age as me. So I'm trying to avoid this as much as possible. So early on, I made a lot of stands, but the kids, I have to plug them. They helped out a lot. And I had a picture, but it's a uh, 7 across, 11 rows, baby crested gecko 6-quart rack. And it's just the width of a 6-quart. So 77 enclosures. And so we keep 2 at a time. So, here's a good day of building stands, for dad and his brother William downstairs, giving each other some love. Had to plug the kids.
It's all
There you
about
go.
family, right? If
Right on.
this thing did anything, if it was worth anything and never made you $1, brought your family together, right? You got your granddaughter into this, doing this with you. You're with your wife every day. I mean,
Life is good.
you know what it is, Wally. But it's huge.
So this is a little 6-quart. We're talking babies. We're talking about raising up babies. So this is a crested gecko enclosure. We start them off to about a month and a half to 2 months in these enclosures. We keep 2 in one enclosures for about a month, and then we'll separate them off. It's very, very, very simple, as you can see. A little food dish, a couple of egg carton. I think that on the bottom is a cardboard, and we've gotten away from cardboard and we've gone over to styrofoam because styrofoam is easy to clean, although we throw them out after 1 or 2 uses. But styrofoam also has, right where the gecko is sitting, there's a little indentation. So when I go into spray, I'll spray the paper towel, which holds the moisture for a day or 2 until I spray the next time. And also that egg carton, that little divot will hold a little puddle of water for them, and they'll drink out of that. And then we have the little food dish. So very, very simple, as you can see, but very, very effective.
So you're keeping clutch mates together, right? Not just 2 small geckos. They would be clutch mates?
Clutch mates. Never, ever. So if we have one hatch out of one parent and then another one from another parent, those go into 2 separate containers.
And so for these, like, for the crested geckos, how long do you keep them in for?
I'll keep them together in that 6-quart for about a month, and then I'll start separating them out, and then they'll go, and at about 2 months, they're going into a 19-quart separately, always separate into the 19 quarts. So this is a 19-quart. We can go the next couple of slides a little quicker here.
It's awesome. That's much bigger than I get mine.
Basic setup.
A lot of room, though.
We've got a plastic plant. We've got some egg cartons, just not
That's
a whole
awesome.
lot here, simply because it's easier for me then to maintain those enclosures, to see the animals. Here's the rack that I have. If I can express nothing more than, boy, oh boy, this was the best thing I've ever made downstairs. Again, you can see a simple setup here, a couple of ventilation holes on either side for cross ventilation in the front. And you can see the ventilation hole in the left side. That's the same in the front. And what I can do is, with a garden hose at a low pressure point, I can go through and mist 27 quarts on this one stand. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these stands. I can mist one rack in about probably 15 to 20 seconds.
Nice. Takes me forever.
And imagine with a collection like yours, Wally, you have to find the most
Efficient
effective,
ways.
efficient ways to give them the best care possible, man. And
Good
I
for
think
the
that's part of the
animals.
reason why you're always coming up with these things. It's not a necessity. You have to continually innovate.
Here you can see this rack, and you can see how flippin' cheap and flimsy and cheap it looks. And it is cheap. When I built this,
That
probably
cheap. I
again
mean,
20
damn.
years
You know what that
ago,
would cost you in materials today? One by pine.
I'm sure I built this whole thing and the tubs for under $75.
You're not doing that now.
Isn't
It
that
costs you
crazy?
more than
No, you're
that
not
in
doing it
wood
now.
now.
But you can see how easy this is. There's a back on it now. We put a back on to add stability, but the legs are nothing more than, what
Do you
is
run
that?
heat on there? Do you have heat tape, or you running any type of external heat, or just ambient in
We
your facility?
Yeah, we don't. Now that area where that rack is probably about 75, 76. So it's warm enough there. On my baby rack, it's in an area that's a little bit cooler. So I ran a heat cable, zigzagged a heat cable down the back of it to keep the babies a little bit warmer. So they have a little bit of a gradient. But you can see how easy this is. 19 quarts. There's 19 quarts are still super cheap. So that was crested geckos. That was gargoyles. Let's talk about some of these smaller geckos. You remember me talking about the deli cups. Well, after a while, I had too many geckos to keep and get deli cups. So went to, I don't know, one of the home improvement stores and bought these stands. And these are little 6 quarts, but they're a little bit longer. And what I have each one set up with is either sand or like a koi fiber. I think we have a picture coming up inside.
Yeah.
But, I had these teeny tiny geckos, and I think the question was asked before, do you worry about the sand of it? I'll take a baby gecko, baby viper, a baby anything, and I'll put them in these enclosures immediately after hatching. I don't put them in a small enclosure so I can manage them any better. They go right into these established containers. Now this is one set up for like a Coleonyx mitratus, a little bit of humidity. I have it more sand than it is peat moss, but there's still some peat moss to hold some of that humidity. I have others set up more with a jungle mix, and I have others that are just pure sand, like vipers and pachydermatous and things like that.
What was
So
those fruit
then
flies?
those are fruit flies. So those are actually Heidi fruit flies as well. So this is a small, this is a Periodora vizimba attacking fruit flies. So the cool thing about those micro gecko stands and enclosures is that they're all self-contained, and I have a ventilation. I've put ventilation in the top of it, almost the entire top, so that we can get light penetrating in, and also plenty of air movement. But they're contained so that when I feed fruit flies, they're not going to get out, and certainly the geckos can't get out. Now the problem is that it's management, but I can run through 2 of those micro gecko stands. I think that's 50 enclosures in about 40 minutes or so, and feed and water.
Damn. So,
But
so
it's
you're
all
not.
So
it's all organized, and it's all
Yeah, yeah.
in line. So I can pull a tub, put it on my cart. I've got my water, my food. I've got a cup of fruit flies. I've got a cup of deli cup of micro mealworms. I've got adult mealworms as they're growing. They'll maybe take some adult mealworms. I have the foods right there. I can go boom, 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 right back on the rack. Grab the next one. This is a Coleonyx variegatus, western banded gecko.
When you're down there feeding, are you working by yourself, or does Nanette help you on like every day or certain days, or
Yep, good question. She has a full time job. She's a teacher, so she helps whenever she can. She helps out a lot, but mostly 90% of the time it's me feeding. But
her hobby,
Nanette
not
can,
hers? Your
there you
business,
go.
hers.
So that was an excellent point, Anthony, because when I look at her helping, I still look at it as this is my job. When you're doing something, it's not you have to feed this or you have to do this or you have to. It's thank you so much for taking a half hour or an hour or half a
That's
day out
awesome.
of my time.
Very cool. Her. It sounds like she's got a full plate. You know.
Full play dealing
Fuller
with
than
Wally.
mine. Yes, exactly. That's
Well, my wife works
priority
with
number one right
handicapped
there.
kids too. My wife works with special needs kids, so I know what a day does to her. You know, to come home and deal with my animals after that, my wife would tell me to take a walk somewhere.
She has the patience of a saint. So, you know, Barry Bonds was born to hit a baseball. Joe Namath was born to throw a football. Nanette was born to have patience over people. And look how who she found as a spouse. So to Jason's point, exactly.
These are all your Peridoras right here, Pictos.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I'll start them off in a tub like
That's
this,
awesome.
and now, what's happened here is I've started them off in a 6 quart, but this group just grew and grew, and now they're not old enough to move to a bigger enclosure. But there's so many of them, I've got to move them to a bigger enclosure. So I'll take them and put them into a 12 to 15 quart and let them grow out another month, and then start separating, obviously. But with so many Periodor picta, I can't have little mealworm cups and food. So I take the top of a deli cup and I just put it on the ground and I throw my mix of supplements, Vionate and a calcium with vitamin D in this deli cup, and I throw the mealworms right in, and they go right on the cup and they scarf the food down. The good part is that they're all eating from this big area, so there's not a lot of aggression,
Not a lot of
and
fighting and
fighting. And the bad part is that every couple of feedings I have to pull the top off and throw it in the sink and wash it because they sit in there and they poop.
oh yeah.
So yeah, I throw the whole thing away and or wash the top and then put a new one in and let them go again.
If you're knowing how ethical you are, I know you would never overproduce anything. You would never just breed to breed. I would have to assume with as many as these things you're making, these things are pretty popular, huh? You're moving quite a bit of these things?
So Jason had the point earlier, and I was going to bring this up, and I'll bring it up now. About starting to breed Periodor picta. I think you need to have the knowledge to breed Periodor picta. You have to have
Beautiful
the
card.
space. Obviously, have to have the space. But more importantly, you have to know your market and be able
Yeah.
to outsource before you start breeding Periodor picta or crested geckos or any other animal that's
Anything.
going to produce a
Anything.
lot
Yeah,
of
I was about to say,
animals.
yeah, anything. Like, if you don't have the knowledge, no, you're just breeding and breeding, breeding. Now you got nowhere to move this stuff. Like, I've made connections with certain reptile stores. So if I have an abundance of stuff, I can, it's like, all right, here you go. And sometimes it's not even cash, like, depending on what store it is. Sometimes it's just store credit, which I use that to my advantage anyways. So I have to get all my lights, get all my supplies. So if I have credit with them, that's one way to get to move animals. Um, I just started working at this new school district, so I've started reaching out to all the science teachers, saying, "Hey, if you guys are looking for a class pet, give me a call." So I'm starting to do some networking and trying to figure out new ways of to move these geckos, instead of just Morph Market or Palm Street or wherever else. So
And the markets are different, Jason, as you know, Anthony as well. The markets are different. So we also have a school program as well, with especially with crested geckos, and with Nanette being a teacher, that works out really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Um, and it's fun. It's a blast for us to get pictures from teachers and the kids in the classroom and everything. For Periodora picta, the markets are different. So we have a market at reptile shows for a certain group of Periodor picta pricing. We have a market for stores at a certain price. We have a market with uh, today I hand delivered a Periodor picta, a high, one out of probably 20 to 25 animals, type of animals that I'll produce at this price range. We drove an hour and met the person and hand delivered one of the
It's
animals.
awesome.
So, there's this price animals
Yeah.
where we know our market, and then there's this price animals, then there's this price animals down here. You just have to be aware of
But
that.
you're
You
in the
have to
market
know.
though. You're in that's your circle, right? I mean, you I mean, when I think about the species in general, I mean, there's a couple other guys that I guess I could say work with them, but you're probably the number one guy I know. The first one I would recommend someone to go to get them. I mean, it makes my point is nothing more than that. I guess that you have the market for those things. You are getting that species to the public. I mean, that's
You're
The
known
cool
as the
thing with
cool
the
Peridor
for the
the
Picta
hobby
guy.
now,
species. Very cool for
well,
the
and I
species.
appreciate that greatly. There's some great Periodor picta breeders, and the cool thing is that you see different looking animals coming out of the market now because of the gain in popularity. But I think the cool thing in the hobby right now is anybody could jump in and say, I am the best Strophuris. And I'm not saying that to be, you know, chest pumping. I'm saying it to say that you can make your niche just like that and say, I'm the Strophuris person. I'm the I'm the Australian leaf-tail person. I'm the Not to say that you're the only one, but maybe you're the one, like you said, Anthony. You're the one that people will call first and say, "Hey, do you have this?" "Nah, I don't, but let me give you a couple of names of people that I don't have it, but they probably do, and you can talk to them too."
So, do you consider yourself just? So, what do you actually? What do you consider yourself as far as like in this reptile hobby? Like, do you consider yourself? I'm the Pictus guy, or am I the micro gecko guy, or what do you consider? What Where do you find
Rare
your
gecko.
lane?
When I grow up, I want to be. I have no flippant idea. The problem is that my tastes change so much. So yeah, I think that I want to be considered one of the top Periodora picta breeders. I think that's my specialty, and I love doing that. I want to be considered the person that knows as much about Periodora as anybody else knows, the whole genus. I want to be considered the person that at reptile shows gets quality animals at a decent price to families. That's super important to us. We will never, ever, ever, ever stop doing that. We'll never stop providing good, inexpensive, reasonably priced
Cute
crested geckos
babies.
to families. So there's a lot of things that I'd like to be good at, and I think that we all want to be there with that. But I don't know what group. Small geckos, small geckos.
Hey, not to go back too far, but that last gecko that was up, that's a leopard gecko.
That was a leopard gecko.
What do you call that color? That morph?
That's actually coming from one of the typical super hypo tangerine carrot tail line bred to really, really, really show that
Do you
orange.
produce those still? Do you produce those still? Oh, I'm going to give you a call, Wally. We're going to talk about that. So I've been wanting a
Okay.
leopard gecko for a long time. I've never had a leopard gecko in my life, and I've always said like I don't know the names of them or the morphs, and I don't really want to breed one. I just want one for a pet, but I don't know what they were called, and that is the freaking one I want. I want one that color orange.
Well, we have a new inventory management person in our leopard gecko room, and
Really,
she's breeding the black knights. So you'll have to talk to
Mrs.
Crystal
Crystal?
about. Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
do remember you said that you kind of scaled back on the leopard geckos, right?
So I'm going to share another story. I know this is getting long for you guys, but
You're fine.
about 8 or 9, 10 years ago, we produced probably about 500 leopard geckos, and it became a point where it wasn't hard to sell them all, but we sat on them for about a year or so until we were finally done with that season's. So we were at the point of selling the last one and then starting the next season, and that became uncomfortable. And 500 animals is a lot of animals. We had customers, we were able to sell them at shows and everything, but it became to me a point of I'm producing these animals to sell. And at that point, it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't I'm moving these genetics.
Understand that?
I'm doing this with this animal. I'm doing it was we have to produce 500 animals because we're selling them. And at that point, I said, "We're done. We're done with leopard geckos." And then it was like, I'm going to get rid of all the leopard geckos except for this one. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all the leopard geckos. Well, maybe I'll just. So we whittled down to about eight, maybe eight pairs ish. So 16 to 20 animals. About now, we've added a couple of animals with Crystal's Black Knights, but it got down to where it's now fun and it's not taking so
Sure.
much of my time because I want to spend that
Sure.
other time, that I have with the other animals too.
Now, here are species. They're cool pets. Like I said, I never had one. I have no desire to breed them, but to have an animal as a pet that looked like that, hell yeah.
They are fun, and I get challenged every single show with crusted or leopard. And the easy decision is leopard. Leopard geckos have the live food requirement, and they have to have heat. And crusted geckos don't require the heat, and you can feed them. A mature crusted gecko, you should feed some crickets, but you can feed the crusted gecko diet in the middle of winter without worrying about them, not eating and not being able to get insects.
Is that a cinctus right here?
It is. It's a Nephurus wheeleri cinctus. Just hatching. I just
Is that a
caught
color
the
morph or something like that? What is that called? Just a regular?
nope,
That's how they look.
regular. There's aberrants out there. Obviously,
That's
there's
what I have, and I
autonomous
know
out
nothing
there.
about it. But I guess that's what I
No,
have. I don't know anything
it's
about
a
it.
fun gecko, and Melii are the first Australian knobtails that you should get into. I don't even call them knobtails. They're just the Australian geckos. They're a great starter Australian gecko,
They're called
but
the
Wheeleri should
barking
be
gecko.
the barking gecko. Although I've poked
Do
and
they
poked
bark?
and poked ours and never heard
Yeah,
them
but
bark.
I
Yeah,
have to
mine don't
ask.
bark.
I haven't done
I don't
that.
even really ever
No,
see mine. I catch them
no,
out at
no, not
nighttime once in a blue
not
moon.
yours, Aunt. Not yours, Aunt. The
Ain't that
underwater
what I have?
saurus.
That's the same thing. Oh, the other one.
No, we're talking, yeah, the underwater saurus because they're called the barking gecko, but I've never actually heard them before.
To be very, very honest, I have held them and I've kind of, so they got a little squirmy. I've held them a little bit tighter and turned them. I've never heard one bark, so I don't know.
Huh.
Hello, bark at me, bark at me.
Right?
Right?
No, I have not done that.
Not like Cerdodactylus. They just chirp all damn night.
What are the ones that do the crazy little dance? The Nephurus, or what are they?
Oh, you talking about the push-ups when they
Yeah,
doing the
they do
push?
little,
Yeah,
little dance and little push-up things. They got the really
They're
big
cool.
eyes.
I know, like
Nephurus.
Amy A. I know they do that.
Amy, I do that. The Wheeleri will actually do that. Levis, all of the knobtails will
Levis.
do
That's
that.
what I'm talking about. Levis.
Levis.
Yes, that's
They'll all do the haunching up and fire and roar little if
I
they
always
were
told myself I was going to get
6
one,
feet long.
and I never did.
So the coolest thing about this hobby for me is the ability to see some of these geckos when they're just coming out of the egg, when they're just hatching. I've said this over and over and over, and it's almost nauseating at this point. But the first time that I open an incubator or open a tackle box, bead box, and I see a baby and I say, oh my gosh, now I have to find a place for this gecko. I'm done with the hobby because every single time I see a baby, it's like life is good. And I hope that I carry that for a long,
That's
long time.
adorable. That's cool. Little baby dinosaur.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. So, out of all these, do these geckos? Which ones give you the most attitude coming out the egg?
Oh gosh. Ooh, I wanted to say helmetids, but actually they're kind of half and half. Sometimes the helmetid will come out and there'll be a little, spark plug. Sometimes they'll come out just as gentle as anything. Out of the egg. Oh, that's a tough question. Let me think about that for a second. Let's come back to that because a lot of these will just come out just as normal as
Do
anything.
you breed
but
Urodactylotes? Aren't you working with Uris?
I'm drawing a blank right now. Yes, I've got the God.
They're the most
My
feisty
mind-
little geckos I ever
It's
seen.
terrible to grow old. Agricoli and Velarde.
Velarde?
Yeah,
And these are
That's
vipers,
what
right?
I have. The Velarde.
these are vipers. We do a lot of vipers. We have 3 pair.
And they're communal, right?
Kinda, sort of.
That's a viper.
Sort of.
That's a viper gecko.
So there was a point a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, that everybody started calling them communal, and I'll be the first one to jump in and say they're kind of not communal because unless you have a lot of males in the tanks, the females will over use the males. I've lost a couple three males because I've tried the 1 to 2, one male to two females. That does not work at all. I've tried 1 to 1, that doesn't work. And finally, what I've tried to do is,
Those are cool.
you know, like 2 or 3 males and 1 to 2 females, and that seems to work better. So when we say communal, I want to really emphasize that females are horrendously tough, in my experience, on males.
I know
Interesting.
most males might
Right?
like
That's
that.
completely different.
What are these, Wally?
This is Hemidactylus rugosus, Pachydaktylus rugosus.
I'm like,
Sorry,
hold on, when did this happen?
Pachydaktylus.
Do they stay
Pachydaktylus
like that as
rugosus.
adults? They stay that color?
They do.
That's
Remember,
Amazingly,
cool.
they do.
we had a podcast on this with Wally.
I know.
Pachydaktylus rugosus. Talking about some that are a little mean, ornery coming out of the eggs. These are ones.
All right,
Wheeleri, any of the knobtails are a little bit feisty coming out
little
of the egg, and
firecrackers.
little firecrackers.
Said I haven't really had to deal with much of firecracker geckos. Like I think most of mine just are pretty chill. Like even my like Haemophilus, because when I
I
got
was
my
just gonna say,
Haemophilus,
aren't those rough? The Tanzania velvet ones, aren't they like little savages?
no, no, like the babies are been pretty chill. Like they'll chill on my hand. No biting, no get mouth gaping or anything. But I mean the adults, like the males, they generally like mouth gape at me all day.
Damn,
So
what the
remember
hell is
that black gecko that I was saying was bothering me because I couldn't come up with the name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came up with the name when I was thinking of rugosus, and that's why Hemidactylus hit. Those other ones are Hemidactylus ruspoli. Sorry, nobody cares. Let's move on with the presentation.
I've never even heard
That's how
that
my
one.
flipping mind works sometimes. Sorry.
Well, I can imagine when you're working with 5,000 species of geckos, there's only 3,000 in the world. Wally got 5,000 of them.
Oh, yeah. This
Oh
is,
man.
again, I love the genus Periodora because the babies are just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. This is Periodora stumphi.
Do
And
they
this
go
is a
through
small
any
gecko.
I say do they go through any color change phases?
They do. The bodies will stay pretty similar to this. They'll get a little bit browner and not such a dark color to blend in with the substrate, their ground cover. They will lose the colors on their tails
I
though,
was just going to
just
say, is
like
that tails
any of
there?
the other Periodoris that have color on their tail.
Because I know you do have something
Unfortunately,
that is like totally changes. Is I think it's like is it like Pachydaculus aureophilis?
I we have a picture of those coming up.
Okay.
Yes,
All
I'll
right.
show
Yeah.
you. I'll tell you what happens with those guys.
Let me see. Is this it?
I love the Periodor because again, you can see
Same
this
thing.
just beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
tail, and honest to goodness, these pictures do no justice. I'm a terrible photographer, but um, love
So
love what they look like coming out of the eggs.
I was gonna say, so is Periodora your favorite genus?
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Periodora picta, my favorite species, and Periodora, my favorite genus. Uh, Little known gecko. This is Hemidactylus tanganicus, uh, common house gecko, but just the coolest beginner African sand gecko you can find. And we'll see in a picture later with the Pachydaktylus aureophilis. The color changes. So this one goes through a similar color change. It loses a lot of the color in the tail. It just becomes like a little bit of a striping color, but the bodies go completely gray. Little gray turd looking animals.
Oh man, this is Cerdodactylus eloc, right?
Oh, well done,
God,
sir.
man, I love these things.
Right?
Oh
That's
my God,
really cool. Wow.
they are
This
so
picture
cool.
does this animal justice, and that tail is as long as the whole body when they uncurl it, and they're slow and they're methodical. So when you're holding them and the tail they become comfortable and the tail unwinds slowly and extends, and it's that just vivid white and black contrast.
Yeah, yeah.
Life is
That's
good.
Do they stay
Man,
that gray and black? And do they stay these colors as they age?
No,
they
they
turn
get
brown, right?
brown. They're just
Cernodaclys, they
yeah,
get brown.
yeah. There you go. There you go. Just a brown,
Tail
little bit
too, or
of
the tail
barn
stay white? This tail stays black and white?
goes away. Completely goes away.
Really? It's
Yeah.
interesting because that obviously
One of
serves a purpose in nature too. Is the reason why they're this color as babies.
the
Huh.
I'll talk about it with Oreophyllus, which is coming in up in a couple of pictures. But I think there's a reason. I think it's where you'll find the babies compared to the adults. There must be with the elox somewhere that they're staying away from the parents where they camouflage better with that color. That's my thought. I don't know if you can zoom it all on this picture.
I mean, I got my screen. My screen, I can't.
There. Is it
One
up?
of my favorite baby pictures, geckos, is this one. This is again Pachydaculus mclaughlini, kind of a rare gecko, but the gold in the tail, the gold in the head is just pure gold, and black body, white markings. Just one of the most spectacular babies. Unfortunately, they're only teeny tiny, as you can see by the bottle cap, and also they grow up and they get gray.
Oh
Woo!
man, here comes the
Gray
one.
animal.
Yeah, these tuxedos.
So these are the Pachydaculus oreophyllus, the black, and the black is black. I mean, this picture is pretty good.
Why is that
White
one
is
white?
stark white. That
Same,
one
same.
was every season for the last 4 or 5 years, we've had one or two special geckos hatch out. This is one of those specials. This is an Oreophyllus, and I think it's leucistic. Now, it's grown up and it's lighter gray than the adults, but as babies, the regular colors, the black and white, are just stark black and white. And then about a month, they start fading away and fading into a gray. And the reason there is because the adults sit on top of the rocks, the gray rocks, the light gray rocks. So they have to blend in with their gray color. They're only
Okay, that
about
makes sense
two and a
now.
half, 3 inches, 3.5 inches. The babies can't stay on top of the rocks. They have to fend for themselves in between all of these crevices of the rocks, which are dark
Dark. Yeah.
crevices with maybe some light spattering in a little bit once in a while. So that's why they're that color is babies. Eloc, probably something similar there. But this leucistic animal, I don't know. I mean, it looks so different as a baby. Now it looks, and I haven't gotten any eggs from this group yet.
It's got to be. 'Cause, I mean, even the pigment on his head is muted. I mean, it's
Right. And that
like
body
every
is
aspect
spangled
of the
black.
animal is different.
Yeah. Man, you got something going on over there, Weller. You
You
said you
Some
still
got
for
have
sure.
that animal, right? You still have that gecko?
Yes. I
how
have
many of
it in
them?
a group, but I go ahead.
I was gonna say how many because so how many have of these loose kind of leucistic ones have you produced? Just
One.
one? Oh, okay.
This is the only one. So I'm hoping that, if I can't breed them this year and I haven't had any eggs yet, and that's kind of concerning, I might just switch
It's
out.
exciting.
This was a male, so I'll switch out the females next year. Or maybe, next year if I don't get any, then maybe we don't get any in the hobby. I don't know.
Very exciting.
Love the Oreophyllus. And again, I'll take them to shows and I'll show the babies and then I'll show, a pair for sale and people will go, oh my God, they're so cool. Oh, there's a cute little red black. What do they look like as adults? They look like this. And then, they literally blink their eyes and walk away.
Oh man. Only true gecko folks really appreciate these kind of geckos.
Only us nerds. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What
This
is it?
bad
Is
boy
this
has like an
Cinctus?
anchor on his head. You see how he's like a ship anchor on his head?
Yeah. How cool.
call him Popeye,
Is that a face? Are those eyes? Maybe that's a head and those are eyes.
right?
Could be.
Is it what is this one?
Pterocinctus cinctus. So this is
Okay,
the
it's
same
fish
as
scale.
the Kaiser
I
Lingai.
was just
Yeah.
gonna say it is. That's a fish scale gecko.
Yep. Wonder gecko.
Wonder,
They
yeah.
get big old
Big
eyes.
big eye gecko or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So we've seen in recent years the Kaiser Lingai, the yellow with the stripes, be more popular. This guy has disappeared, just completely disappeared. I was breeding them like crazy again 10 or 15 years ago, and then couldn't find them, and just got in a shipment a couple of months ago, and out of the shipment of about 18 animals, I think 5 or 6 were really small, and then of the adults, all of the remaining one female. So yeah, I'm hoping the small ones grow up and I get more females. But right now, out of those 18 animals, I have one confirmed female. But at least I have a female.
Yeah, yeah. I started noticing a lot more of these wandering geckos. I'm guessing people got shipments in. It's the same as those toad-headed agamas. Uh, you starting to see a lot of them out here
Those
now.
things are just creepy, man. Those things skeeve me out, bro.
Well, I was trying to bid on one the other day on
You're
Morph Market.
nuts. You're nuts.
I
Them things are.
wanted.
They remind me
I
of a
like
horror
the
movie.
Predator. It reminds me of Predator.
So
Well,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
set, and
Oh,
that thing attacks the shit out of you in the middle of the night when you're sleeping. It's got a toad head of gamma around your throat. You're gonna be
I heard that when they open up their mouth, they actually have like a glass and screen cutter teeth. They can cut the glass and get out.
all
That's
set.
what I've
Not
heard.
coming to my house. Little
Do you
devil,
feed
little
them like a drop of blood every night,
freaking
like
demon
Little
lizard.
House of Horrors?
well,
Uh,
we'll find out
how do
soon.
these
Whenever
things
I
make for pets? How are these guys, these fish scales for pets? Well, I've heard mixed things about them.
Easy as pie. I have no issues with them at all. They are a little snotty. I mean,
I'm gonna
if you
say
go in there, they're going to
I heard they have little anger issues.
a
They need to
little
go to
attitude. They
therapy.
have a little attitude. So when we go in, the thing with these is that when you go in, you have to grab them. You don't play around with them. You don't go, okay, come here, and you go in and you scoop them up immediately. Once you scoop them up, it's like, okay, I can't fight this. I had my chance, and I didn't win. Once you have them in hand, I think they're fine. I think they do well, but it's that, oh, I'm a little anxious in getting these because they're so, they're voicey, and they rear up a little bit. So I think people get a little anxious with handling them. But if you go in and pick them up right away, you're fine.
Have you ever worked with
Cool geckos.
Tanopus
Um, can't think of Tanopus.
Carpi?
Oh, no, 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 no. I have not. I have not. I haven't ventured into that. My mind was going over to that egg and covered, like Anthony was talking about before, with the sand. No, I haven't worked with those. I know, Joe has done a great job with them. I just
Yeah,
haven't ventured into them yet.
yeah. I've always wondered about them. I heard they're pretty difficult, but when people tell me difficult, I tend to my interest gets sparked. And I want to find out why. So I'm gonna have to talk to
It's
Joe and see if he has any because I need some.
the cool thing is now there's a number of people working with them in the hobby, and the more people that we get, have working, the more information I think that we get out there. Not that Joe's holding anything back at all. That's
No,
not
no,
true at all.
no.
But
And
the
that and
more
like the
information we get
audible
out,
stuff
yep,
because they're a barking gecko as well. So
yep, yeah.
me,
You
I
need
gotta.
more barking, sounding, chirping geckos in
I
your
know.
house. That's what
Yeah.
you need.
Oh, between the frogs and the geckos now, it's just a whole little jungle over here.
When does the macaw come in?
Whenever she says yes. Oh no, she was showing me this little. I don't even know what it was, but this thing was just bouncing everywhere. She's like, I want to get one of these. I was like, um, this is where I might actually say no because that thing has no boundaries. Like that thing will hop over my gate, get into my enclosures, and start snacking on a gecko. We're gonna have problems. We will have that
What
thing
is
for
it?
dinner. I don't even know what it was.
Was
She
it a
just
sugar glider?
no, it wasn't a sugar
Sugar
glider.
glider? No. Okay.
No, I can't remember what it was. I don't even know what it was, but she sent me a reel of it, and they were just boom, 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 jumping everywhere. They look like they had a sugar glider face, but
I
bounced
know
like a
what you're
rabbit.
talking about. Those things from Madagascar.
I don't know, but yeah, I was
You
like,
know,
yeah,
Anthony, that's now our number one priority is talk to Mrs. Jason and say, whatever you need, whatever information you need, we're going to help you get this animal in your
things will be
home.
gonna
That's
be on
our
the
number one
grill.
probably get it
priority.
from underground reptiles.
I wouldn't doubt it. Oh man, I think we got one more slide here. The thing would pop up. Oh,
Holy
here we
shit.
go. Boom, perfect right there.
Oh
Is that
wow,
Pashardai?
see, that's me. That's pretty.
That absolutely is.
Does that
Man,
stay like that as an adult?
It
no.
does not.
God
No, it
damn it!
does not. It gets poopy brown.
But it does it keeps spots, but the spots turn white, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yellowish white. Yeah. Um, so if anybody ever asks me, what is one gecko that you would get rid of out of your collection right now if somebody forced you to get rid of a gecko? It would absolutely, without hesitation, be this animal.
Why
Why is
is
Now, I
that?
that?
don't because their babies are beautiful. Their babies are so, and you know, Jason, their babies are velvety black with these yellow
Hmm.
spots. Again, this picture does no justice to this
Yeah,
baby at
that's
all.
beautiful there. Jeez.
It is. It's better than it looks in this picture by far. That's a credit to my horrendous photography skills. But I, this would be the first one out of our house because every time I go in and I have to move anything in their enclosure, look for eggs, move babies, my palms are my arm, the hairs on my arms are already going up, and my palms are sweating because they're not they're not fast. Like, you can tell if you're holding a crested gecko, you can watch it and you can see when it's ready to go, right? You can see the legs kind of, the springs tightening, and you can go, okay, 3, 2, 1, and then it jumps. These guys can be like, nothing to look at here, and then all of a sudden it's across the room, 20 feet away from you, and it was like, I didn't even blink, it's gone. It's gone. So in my mind, this is my most feared gecko, in our facility because it is just jet fast and it's so unpredictable. I don't know when it's going to take off like a jet. So
That color, you're not likely to find them if they get under anything either.
All
no,
right.
no. Super cool babies. Not super difficult to breed. We actually so a lot of sometimes the problem with having a lot of animals and a lot of enclosures and everything is it takes a lot of time finding eggs. So you try to work through some of those challenges. Steph Reisberg uh, helped me with this one time. I had an interview, and I think she said this probably maybe on your show too. But for Ebanawi, she sections off a certain part of her enclosure so they can't dig in the whole enclosure. They just have the one section. So that one section is where they'll always lay their eggs because she keeps it a little bit more damp. She puts leaves over it. She does
Yeah.
something to make it
Yeah.
so that that's their preferred spot to breed. Now, for Bavaye, I've done something similar where I've put little pebbles and rocks in 90% of the enclosures, except for one spot, and I'm hoping that they'll start breeding there. I did a video on the Supreme Gecko channel on this, but what I'll also do for like Periodora when I was breeding them over sand, Pachydaculus, I'll do this all the time. So hides, but maybe a half inch of sand in the whole enclosure, except for under one hide. I'll make it maybe 2 inches, and sometimes I'll water under that, but always Benoye, great example, the parthenogenic Heteronotia benoye. But in one spot, I'll make the sand about 2 inches, just in a little area about this big. So I don't have to go searching in the whole enclosure. I just go to that one spot. I have a hide over it. I'll pull the hide and I'll just sift through that little mound of sand. And 100% of the time, they'll lay in that one area.
That's
Um,
convenient.
I think you have to do stuff like that once you start getting more than 4 or 5 or 10 geckos. You need to find ways that you're not spending all of, 2 or 3 hours looking for eggs instead of
Oh
like
yeah.
5 or 10 minutes.
I was like, I know. So that same philosophy I do for like my tritis, right? So on one end, I have a bigger mound of dirt compared to the other end, so that makes them want to go over there to do that. Who else? I mean, my chihuahuas, I could give them whatever, and she'll just drop eggs. Like literally today, she had one egg on one end, and then the other egg was on a complete other end of the enclosure. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. And then like my Goniasaurus. So like I said, I got one end. I have two different hides, and they both of those are pretty filled up, and then everything else is like less than an inch. So I know to check these two spots. Go ahead, see if there's any eggs over there. Who else? I mean the Ciliaris, they lay in the lay box, so I don't have no issues with them. Still trying to learn the Blazodactylus because I found eggs everywhere in there. They just wherever they're like, oh, this looked like a good spot. So I mean, my Zabracus, she like her first three clutches, she laid in one spot. Her last clutch she just dropped was in a completely different spot. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like that's not where I had you set up at. Like you're messing with my program right now. Like nah, like you need to get back to regular, get over here. But it's like you said, it's trying to figure out different ways to try to get them so you could be more efficient in looking for these eggs. Like so, generally, how many days a week are you looking for eggs?
Usually one. I hesitate to say that because we try to keep the crested geckos to 1 day. We'll keep almost every single gecko to 1 day a week. Usually it's a Saturday because we have more time on a Saturday morning to go through everything and feed and look for eggs. We always feed and look for eggs at the same time. The only exception to that I can think of is now there's a couple of exceptions. The exceptions are like our banded geckos. I'll look every single time because they're pretty sporadic. And our Periodor picta, I'll look every single time. So if I have a lay box, other than crusteds, I'll look when I have that lay box. I'll go ahead because I'm impatient and I have to have that instant gratification. I'll look in the box to see if there's no eggs this time. But then I can go through the whole Periodor picta group and I'm going to find 1,000 eggs every single time I look. So then I get the gratification back. Oh, I'm a good breeder
Yeah.
because I got eggs from Periodor picta.
Oh, don't trust me. Because I'm gonna end up getting a Knowles probably next year. So I'm gonna get my instant gratification because they lay like one egg a week.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. Um, like I've been debating like what's gonna be my first actual lizard instead of like what's my instead of a gecko. And I've been kind of like, do I want like an anole or do I want uh Polycris or what else was I looking at? No, maybe the Lacerda, but I think I'm gonna go with the anole because like I said, I want give me my eggs once a week. Let's get it cranking.
I jumped into the non, I my very first reptile was a pair of veiled chameleons, and it was within like weeks until I got panthers. Jumped right in, both feet, and loved the experience. It was hard for me with the females, laying eggs and not lasting more than a year or two. So we moved away from the chameleons because I kind of felt like a chameleon factory at that time with them.
Oh yeah,
So I've not had any other lizards until about a year ago. I
oh
got
yeah, yeah.
Xena Taylor, yeah, the
Xenogama.
Xenogama Tayloride, the
Yeah,
shield tails, and I love them. I love them because they're out during the day. I can look around and I can see three of them out right now. They're jumping around, and the males are blazing blue on their chins and bobbing up and down like little teeny tiny. They're only about 3.5 inches, and they're doing the whole bearded dragon head bobbing, and they're fun. They're a
yeah.
lot of fun. So if I could suggest anything, it would be if you could find Xenogama Taylori, and they're available.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
fun little teeny tiny
yeah,
reptile.
yeah. Definitely. All right. So I think we're almost at the 3 hour mark.
Wow. I have blabbed and kept you guys for 3 hours.
That's fine.
Goodness gracious. Shame on me.
Yeah. Well, I said I've been up since like 2:45 this morning, so I'm
Oh,
tired.
gosh.
I had
And Anthony, I know you've had a heck of
a
a few
weekend.
days here
Yeah.
too. So, and I've been
But
with a 3-year-old for most of my days. So I'm beat. I'm exhausted.
all right, where can everybody find you, Wally?
Supreme Gecko. I'm all over the place on YouTube, Supreme Gecko channel. We do videos about once. All my lights just went off. I guess the show is over. I do a video about once a week. We have our lives at 6:30 Central Time on Thursdays. Generally, TikTok. I don't dance, but I'm still on TikTok. Uh, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm not much on Instagram. If you want to contact me, the best thing to do is direct
You guys
message
find
me.
him everywhere. Wally's a legend, guys. He's been doing this longer than half of you guys probably been alive.
I have a blast. I have a blast. So I'll put out a video and I'll get 1,000 views, and I'm like, score, big time. And then Anthony, says, I just got 15 million on my short that I
He
just
hit
put
2
out.
million the
It's
other day.
like,
I'm at 2 million, and so it's almost 2,200,000 or something. It's freaking retarded.
I get my 823 views. And it's like I'm the king of the world. And Anthony, I've got 2 million. I'm like,
I wish it was every
I
post.
suck
Trust
at
me, I wish
this.
it
I
was
should
every
stop
one.
doing shorts.
It's 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 will get to
I'll
a
take
couple
1 out of
100,000.
10. I'll take that.
Yeah, yours is your stuff though. I just find funny shit and put a caption
me
on it
sense.
that's funnier. I
So
wish I
let me,
could take credit for it.
before we head out, so you got any tips for, well, I guess like egg management, right? Do you have any tips to help people go along with their journey as they're building their collection? Some good, efficient ways to manage everything, because having a big collection like that is pretty stressful. So, what helped you along this journey?
A couple of things I'll say there. Number one, painter's tape. Anthony, I'm sending you a roll tonight of painter's tape. Painter's tape simply because you don't have to clean, and you can just take the tape from the hatch box over to your grow out container. It makes it so much easier. Put the identification of the parents and the hatch date, or the the lay date or the hatch date, or both on there, and just kind of follow that through so you have records of how old the babies are. The other thing that I would strongly suggest to people is the number one killer of gecko eggs is too much water, too moist, too much. If you're going to err on any, oh, but my eggs just kind of dented up, then they're still okay. You can still get over that. But if you have an egg that is swamped and it's sitting in water, or it's even more than it should be, that egg's going to die. So, and everybody does it. It's nobody's fault. It's a learning process. Adjust, failure, fix, and then just move forward and talk to these guys. Talk to me. Talk to anybody that's been doing this for a few years. Figure it out and just get better with that. That's my 2 tips.
You're still offering your consultations through your website, correct? If anybody
We
wanted
are.
help and wanted to reach out and wanted a one-on-one with you, are you still offering that?
We do consultations on gecko care, specifically Periodorapicta or, leopard geckos or crescent. We also do consultations on goal setting. As a professional, I did goal setting for years and years and years, and organization skills, doing reptile shows. We've been doing reptile shows for almost as long as we've been keeping reptiles. And I and this isn't a flex or anything. We do okay with reptile shows, or else we wouldn't be doing them for 20 years. But there's certain things that you have to do the right way with reptile shows to be successful. And again, we've gone through we didn't do this the right way, so let's change it and do it the right way.
You guys want to make money, invest in yourselves, man. Invest in yourselves by spending a little bit of time with people that know more than you, man. People that made the mistakes that you have yet to make. Reach out to Wally, man. Have a sit down. Talk about your future, what you want to do. There's a good chance Wally's already been there and done that.
I can't say that any better than you did, but I'm going to try to add to it. And that is, I have 2 consultations coming up in the next couple of weeks, because I want to spend time on myself, because the mistakes, 20 years and plus, I'm still making mistakes, and I want to fix that. I'm going to have a consultation on social media and improving my social media presence, so that maybe I can get a video out there for 2 million views someday. But invest in yourselves, man. People ask me tablecloths and banners and business cards and the tower displays. Invest in yourself first. Talk to somebody that's been through it, so that in one session you can eliminate 50% of the errors that you're going to make for the next 10 shows that you're going to do.
On that note, I hope everybody has a great night, morning, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Stay weird, people. Peace.
Yo, creeping in the dark, life nocturnal, dark and dark, both paths arboreal to terrestrial. Sticky toes gripping forest students that explore. Listen close, Gecko podcast, that's knowledge galore. Reptile talk, host Anthony and Jason. Trade secrets flow, no time wasted. From tropics to town, it's sight raining. With every chat, reptile game changing. Escaping heat waves, tan under rays. Desert sand echoes, sun blazing days. Little hustlers, camouflage and maze. Catch them speaking wisdom, the wild on replay. Reptile talk, host Anthony and Jason. Trade secrets flow, no time wasted. From tropics to town, it's sight raining. With every chat, reptile game changing. Sculling through the leaves, shadows unseen. Master of the skies, chameleon dream. Listen, tails flip, strip getting clean. Gecko exchange, true reptile fiends. Reptile talk, host Anthony and Jason. Trade secrets flow, no time wasted. From tropics to town, it's sight raining. With every chat, reptile game changing. Scuttling through the leaves, shadows unseen. Master of disguise.